Hello?
Hello.
Audio check.
Excellent. All right, we're good.
Cool.
Howdy, everyone. So this is Mega Man Star Force 3 Red Joker, the obviously best version because it's red. So this is going to be a no Kaizo gear is the category name for this run. Basically, it doesn't let you use the JP only noise gear. So I'll get started. If you want to start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, Risch. Have fun.
Thank you, Tara.
Yeah, we would have started earlier, but we had to find the red headset so that way he could go faster.
Yeah, it's really important, really important. Also, now that I have this new 8-bit DO controller instead of my regular PS4 controller, I have an excuse for when this run goes horribly.
Yeah, so since this is a DS, he's having to do stuff on the touchscreen as well, like navigation, pop-ups, menus, some text entering later. So what is Star Force?
So Star Force is the spiritual successor to the Battle Network games for the Nintendo DS. It started off with Star Force 1, which I forget exactly when it was released, but and then this is the final game in the series, Star Force 3. And so the main idea is that you have the main character, Geostellar, who is met eventually by an alien from the planet AM, who is made of electromagnetic waves, known as Omegasis. And when they combine together, they are known as Mega Man. So essentially, these electromagnetic beings can combine with people in certain instances in order to attain their full power. Similar to Battle Network, we have the card-based combat system. Rather than having the 6x3 grid, we have a 5x3 grid where I am only technically allowed to move through 3 of them. I can only move left and right. I cannot step forward at any point. But as you'll see in a moment in this next tutorial fight, there's a bit more nuance to the combat system.
Yeah, they changed it pretty drastically. They wanted to do 3D, and so they did this over-the-shoulder perspective. And instead of worrying about your position, like in Battle Network, it's more like you're dodging left and right, so you just have the fewer panels to move to. But because of the lock-on mechanic, you can still get close and use the short-range weapons like swords and stuff. So I like to say that the Battle Network games were kind of more of a strategy kind of combat, and the Star Force games are more action-focused, because you also, there's a lot more incentive to counterattack, and then you also have a shield mechanic. So dodging, shielding, countering, it feels a little bit faster than the Battle Network fights.
Yep. So that tutorial, the purpose of that tutorial fight was to show off the counter mechanic, which when you counter hit an enemy or hit them at a right before their attack goes off, they'll be stunned for a moment, and you get a free battle card that is randomly pulled from your folder. So that concludes the tutorial part of the game. So now we're just going to go meet our friends downstairs, and they're going to teach us a little more about one of the key aspects of the game, the brother band system. So the idea is that this game takes place in 220XX, so 200 years after the events in Battle Network, and so they're a very highly advanced civilization now.
They developed wireless technology.
Yes. So basically,
nice purpose.
Yeah. Well, no, that's my secret. My secret is
Your secret
one.
is one. You didn't even. You had such an opportunity then.
Also very true. Yes, we can touch the screen. It is quite useful.
Surfing the waves.
So one of the things in this game is that you form brother bands with people that you really trust. So basically, you put like your deepest, darkest secret into your transer, or whatever device the game decided to name in this one. I think it's called
Hunter VG.
Yes, that is what it's called in this game. Oops.
Elevator,
Elevator.
pop up. You'll hear that a lot.
Yeah. So, oops, sorry. I just walked through an NPC on accident, don't mind me.
It takes less effort in this game compared to the Battle Network.
So fun fact, if you just walk into an NPC for like a second, the game realizes that you might be stuck and just lets you move through them.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Is that because when you put your like visualizer on, if you don't turn it on, the people turn invisible?
Yes. So.
Virus.
Yeah. So you also are given this thing in the first game called the visualizer, which lets you see electromagnetic waves, which is how you're able to see Omegasys. Even though they also explain that, you know, they can make themselves visible to other people, which is kind of, you know, counterintuitive, like that, you know, you kind of need this visualizer to see everything, but that's oh well. So this is one of the times that this game tells you, apparently there's 3 times, according to Terra, that you are, in this game, you are allowed to reg chips. In fact, it's called default cards in this game. Basically, means that any standard card you can set as default, and it will always appear first on your custom screen.
Yeah.
In battle.
So, like most of the other, I think every Battle Network game and every Star Force game, you have to have 30 cards in your folder, and you get dealt 6 randomly at the start here, but you can set one as your default, so you always start with that one. So that helps mitigate some of the randomness.
So right now, what we're doing is we're basically going around helping people because our friend Luna Platts, who is our class president, wants to be the student body president. So we're going around helping people to help advertise for her, essentially.
Not out of the pure goodness of your heart.
Yeah. Also, I didn't need to pulse in there. Whoops.
Push the R button.
I just walked through a person unintentionally there because the game needed to put me through her. Don't worry about it. Ah, yes, we finally got to leave the school, only to go back very momentarily.
We do have a couple donations. We have $20 from Anonymous that is really excited about the Azure Striker Gunvolt Super Fan Package. Says Gunvolt has been my favorite game series since 2015, and they'd be ecstatic to own one of those amazing Gunvolt items. So this is a charity marathon. We're raising money for the Child's Play charity, and there are a few different prizes that you can get. So if you go to MegaMan-athon.com, you can get more information on all the different prizes and raffles, donation incentives, bid wars, and then where to donate. And all the money goes directly to
my
Child's
notes
Play.
for this, because I don't
So
fully
what
remember
Risch is
this.
doing now is entering a secret code, which gives you special white cards, which are bonuses to the folder, powerful chips that you can use in conjunction with anything else. And where did these come from? I think it's this overlay that you put on top of your touch screen, and you have to touch specific places in a certain order. And it's kind of like the same idea as an e-reader, these things that you bought that then you could get extra content within the game. But since there's no overlay here, Risch is just kind of eyeballing it.
Yeah, it's really weird. I got it that time.
I'm not going to ask you to install any shelves in my home.
It's super weird because, at least in Star Force 2, where they had the wave command codes, which was essentially the same thing, they had this whole kit that you could overlay on your screen. But when you tapped on the screen, it gave you a little indicator that, you know, you had pressed that spot. But in this game, they decided to forego that, and you just kind of don't know where you tapped. You just know how many times you've touched the screen. So it's much trickier to do in this game, but... So what I got there was 4 fire elemental cards that will be very useful in conjunction with some of the other cards that we'll be getting in the future, namely Grass Stage, to basically completely obliterate any enemy we run across.
Yeah, because this game, like the Battle Networks, and I guess like, you know, Mega Man series in general has weaknesses. These focus more on the elements, and in this one, it's the 4, right?
Yes.
Cool. Fire, water, electric, and wood.
Yeah.
And with Grass Stage and those fire chips, when you set the field to grass, you can use a fire attack on it, and it'll do double damage. And fire attacks just naturally do a lot of damage, so.
Yes, it's quite nice. Each of the cards that I pulled from that white card do 170 damage or more. And as of right now, or the base folder that we get, the highest damage card we have is Beast Slap, which does only 100.
So speaking of fire, we have a $7.50 donation from Prof9 who says, pop up, I'm sending some Taurus noise waves your way. By the way, nice shirts.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about styles and then maybe we'll talk about the other games?
Yeah, so after in about like 50 minutes or so, I'll be getting something like a random noise change, which is similar to Battle Network 2 and 3's style change. Basically, it's a random form based off of all the pop-ups.
Pop-up.
It's a random form based off of some of the other characters that were in the game at earlier stages. There are a total of 11 possible noise changes. There are 5 that are specific to each version. Not fully specific, but are more likely to be obtained in a single version. And then there is an 11th that is Rogue Noise, which is not specific to either version, but is also rather hard to obtain.
That was a giant Mr. Hertz.
Yeah, he was pretty big, pretty bulky. Unfortunately, we will never see him again.
All right, so Rogue Noise, continue.
So yeah, Rogue Noise would be the ideal noise to get. However, for the first 2 noise changes you can only get one of the 5 that are specific to your version, and only 1 noise change is actually guaranteed in the run, which means that we're likely just going to be dealing with the noise we get at like the 50-minute to 1 hour mark. So we just punch this man in the face and then slice him up.
So again, like just looking at the combat, like, because I've mostly played Battle Network, this is a lot more anticipating the enemy, focusing on the counter hits, like timing your attacks to dodge theirs. And
what's really cool about Star Force 3 in general, actually, before I get to that, this is going to be a really secret thing right here. There's a secret warp. I'm just going to get 1,000 Zenny real quick.
Is this the wrong warp? It's going to...
Not quite.
No, okay.
That's, there's a couple... They put a lot of emphasis, or a lot of work into this game. There's a lot of hidden things, like... There's 3 that I know of, hidden warps just like that one. But back to the combat. In this specific game, when you lock onto an enemy, you have a few seconds, or not a few seconds, like about half a second of invulnerability, which really helps to let your attack go through before you get hit, if, for example, you're going to get hit instead. So it's oftentimes very useful to just lock on with something, and rather than just use it from your rows in order to gain that brief moment of invulnerability. All right, so story-wise, right now, we just got something called a Giga Energy card, which is supposed to be like a government, like, only thing that our science club, we're in 5th grade, by the way. This kid might actually be in 6th grade that we're talking to, but basically, he's trying to build a rocket that he's actually going to send into outer space. And we just gave him that Giga Energy card because we apparently did well enough at a tournament at that mall we just went to, even though we didn't actually participate in the tournament.
So since I actually played half of the first scenario earlier today, I can recall that Acid Ace just said if you show up to the tournament, he'll give you one.
Yes, yes.
When's the last time you've watched cutscenes? Because you've played this game probably like hundreds of times now.
Over a year ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago now. Was the last time I watched cutscenes? Which isn't too long ago in the long scheme of things, but...
I know we played Battle Network earlier, and we kind of made fun of like the loose story that they had going on, which was maybe a little bit more than the classic Mega, which is just like, here's 8 robots, go fight them.
Yeah.
But for the Star Force series, they actually did, I think, put more emphasis and effort on the characters and the story, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, the first game is definitely, while the first game was like a little rough around the edges, like a lot of first games in the series, the story for Star Force 1 was incredibly well done. Had a lot of character development for Geo specifically, and is definitely a reason to play that game. So here's Grass Stage, which I'll put in my folder right now.
So if you like Mega Man, these play differently, and there's more emphasis on story. They're RPGs, action RPGs instead. So if that interests you, definitely give it a try. The combat system, I think, is unlike anything else. But so we're in our first dungeon, and dungeons have unique mechanics. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So this one, there's different magnets in the area that are polarized, and at the start, during that cutscene that I just skipped, well, unfortunately, I got an encounter. The brother of the boss that we're about to fight actually gave us this shield that will allow us to be pulled in by these different magnets, and there's these different pop-up spots, which you'll see now, which I can tap to switch my polarization and get pulled in and pushed by the opposite charge. So this way I can maneuver through areas that otherwise would not be possible.
What an educational game. Opposites attract.
This guy to come forward, and
Those fire cards are OP.
unfortunately I haven't been drawing.
You didn't last fight. Oh, that looks fun.
Yeah, it's quite fun. All right. So yeah, you're gonna hear pop out a lot, by the way, throughout this entire game. Because this game is on the DS, it allows you to make full use of the touchscreen. Unfortunately, the earlier games didn't really make a whole lot of use out of it. For example, in Star Force 1, they didn't even let you use the touchscreen to type.
They were too busy doing the Taurus Fire bucking minigame as well as harp notes attacks.
Yeah,
So excited by this new technology.
it was quite an interesting decision that was made.
Rest in peace, Shanghai.
Yes, unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate.
That actually had a Star Force mode, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I played through it. It was interesting. There's a few minor.
It was still in development.
Yeah, there's a few minor things that I had to say about it regarding like the way the shield and lock-on system worked, but overall it was actually really good.
Nice.
I'm never sure. I don't fully know the attack patterns because usually I just kill them before they can move. All right, I don't actually have to do any more pop-ups unless I get a warning encounter. I'll explain more.
Oh, okay.
I'll explain more about warning encounters in a sec. What were you gonna say?
No, I was going to ask what a warning encounter was.
Well, so.
Let's talk about the boss first.
Oops. I meant to reg this, and apparently I didn't. Apparently I regged it and then unregged it.
Boss time. All right.
So this is the first boss of the game, Spade Magnus. Basically, he sends rockets at you periodically, and then he'll sometimes charge you as a rocket himself. And then sometimes he'll come forward and slice you.
Brutal.
Aw, darn. Almost got to one-turn it. Guess I'll just use a sword instead.
Just showing like the raw damage that you can have with those white cards on a grass stage.
It was 340 damage, which was quite nice.
And the counter hit into another card. It was a good fight though.
It was pretty good. Ideally there, I would have drawn Heat Upper, which does 200 damage, which multiplied by 2 gets you the full 400 damage that would have been needed to
One shot.
literally one-shot him. So that was the first boss. I actually didn't save before that boss. I'll probably be saving before every other boss.
Recommended.
Because that boss is so easy. So right now, we're getting a call from Woody. He's the science club leader that we talked to earlier. We managed to launch the rocket into space, by the way. And the wizard that we deleted just gave it, well, it didn't delete. We basically saved him. It's kind of weird how that works, but he just gave us an ability, which, if you're familiar with the later Battle Network games, is essentially this game's version of the Navi Customizer. So, as I was mentioning earlier, you have the ability to form brother bands with people. And when you form a bond with someone, this world has this thing called link power, which is essentially a measure of your bonds with other people. And the more link power you have, the more abilities that we're able to equip. And so that's how they balance abilities in this game. I just went through the wrong door. It doesn't really matter. So right now, we just equipped an ability that gives us 50 extra HP, which will be nice, given that we're not really going to be getting too much HP for a fair amount of time. This is rather unfortunate. I'm about to get slapped. All right. So now soon, we're going to skip a bunch of cutscenes, but we're going to be introduced to a new friend who happens to be basically a pop idol who is also our age because, you know, that's the thing.
Teen idol?
Yeah, basically. And with that, actually, it will round out our group of friends for this game. There'll be a few other interesting characters that'll show up, but as of this scenario, I'll have brother bands with all of our main group of friends that is in every other Star Force game. Oh, okay. Well, so this is a little interesting thing. On entering an area, you have a chance to essentially have a Omega encounter. So basically, the music changed there, which indicated that that check went through, and that meant that if we kept going for a fair amount of time, we would have eventually gotten to fight an Omega boss. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to actually beat one of those. I don't think that I have enough damage in my folder.
I was going to say, that was some really good music.
By the way,
Missed a
missed a sword. Yeah. I'm just going to do this.
Okay, you hit with that one.
Yeah, got that one.
50%.
You can get Omegas that early? Yes, you can get them basically from the start of the game.
It's just RNG.
Yeah.
From the start, so you don't have to like beat a boss to unlock the Omega form. It's just have access to the area.
Yep, you just have to have access to the area. You don't even fully have to fight a boss to find its version 3 encounter in this game either.
Interesting.
It's kind of weird. I've once ran into Wolf Woods version 3 without ever fighting Wolf Woods.
That's kind of funny.
So we just got an email saying that the shop in the area, Big Wave, shoutouts to Ken Souther, by the way, the best NPC in the game. And that also means that we now have access to this game's version of Lotto codes, which is called Cipher Codes. So I'm going to get 5 cards that will help us throughout the game. They're very, very, very strong, and there's going to be one ability that we'll pick up that will make the run a lot safer. So Acorn Bomb 3 is our main way that we're going to be deleting viruses in this game. We're going to have it be our default card. Right. We're going to have it be our default card momentarily, and with that, we'll be using that on practically every encounter.
So, since compared to Battle Network, cards in this game, they don't have codes. They also don't have, like, reg amounts, so you can set any card in your folder as default?
You can set any standard card, yes. Mega cards and Giga cards, you cannot set.
That's cool.
Yep. So we just picked up a mega card called Acid Ace V3, which can do up to 370 damage. We got another copy of Mech Flame 3 as well, which you saw earlier.
He's memorized these.
This one I have completely memorized, yes.
But yeah, I think starting with Battle Network 3 onward, does Star Force 1, 2, and 3 have something like this?
They have something similar. It's
different, right?
it's a little different.
Yeah, but basically they have these things in place so that they could release these codes in different places, guidebooks, anime, manga.
There's also NPCs in the game that you can talk to that will give you some of these codes.
So it's like some are in the game, but some were outside the game, which was interesting.
Yeah.
And then once you had them, you could go back in game and get these kind of extra content.
Yep.
Like special cards and stuff. And so if you know them ahead of time, you can get them much earlier.
Basically right as soon as the shop opens. The funny thing about Star Force 1 and 2 is that right at the start of the game, you can just put in it's not quite cipher codes in the game, it's called cipher mail instead. And the codes are a little bit longer. They're sometimes like up to 3 lines worth of text, but you can do it right from the start. So it's kind of interesting there.
So you finished the first day. What's going on in the story now?
So as I mentioned, we just met our friend, the teen idol, who invited us to be a guest star, or not guest stars, just guest members on her TV show. So all of our friends have gotten together, and we're going to visit this place called WBG Studios, which is where they filmed the show. And so we actually had a new student arrive in our class who, based on the cutscenes, at this point we know are technically part of the evil group in this game. I'm gonna actually do a quick folder edit.
You took out Mini Bomb.
Mini Grenade in this game.
That's fine with me.
It's not nearly as good as Mini Bomb in Battle Network.
Yeah. So we're playing Mega Man Star Force 3, and the Mega Man Star Force series was for the DS, and it is the spiritual successor to the Battle Network games.
That is correct.
It uses a similar combat system. You'll see once we get into some more random encounters, right, Risch?
Actually, the next encounter should hopefully not be random. It's possible that I get a random encounter, like, in about 10 seconds. We shall see. Okay, we didn't. There's one other place we might get a random encounter, but other than that, there's going to be not really the boss of this scenario, but it's just a boss that we'll have to fight. Also, another secret little thing coming up. And here we are at another secret warp that you have no idea about unless you just happen to walk over it while pulsed in.
Interesting. Okay.
So that way...
Is there one of those in, like, Echo Ridge?
I don't know if there's one in Echo Ridge. There might be.
Because I saw something in the waiver that I couldn't figure out how to get to, and I was like, is there an invisible path?
That's probably how, that's how you would know to look for it. So that would probably be the case, yes.
Cool.
So right now, we're basically just waiting for the show to start. So we're just kind of walking around, touring the place. At the end of the show, they're actually going to have a concert because, like we said, she's a teen idol. But she started as a musician. So we just went and saw the guy setting up the stage, which will be made of electromagnetic waves as well, because everything in this game is basically made of electromagnetic waves.
Real electromagnetic waves.
Yes.
So her last name's Strom, right? Sonia Strom.
Yes. Sonia
I wasn't
Strom.
sure if that was like a stage name.
With a U and it's normally spelled with a U, correct?
Yeah.
And two M's.
So it's cool, but it kind of segues into there's a lot of the names here are actually puns of a kind, right?
Yeah. So funnily enough, they even go they're really explicit in the first game about it. So the main character's name is Geostellar, and the class president that I talked about earlier, who's also our friend, is named Luna Platts. So Luna kind of refers to the moon, Geo refers to the Earth. And so she was constantly following Geo around in the first game, trying to get him to go to school. So he like called her a satellite, just like the moon. There's a couple other funny names. There's Ivor Gott, which is a character that tends to forget things. I forget if he's in this specific game. He's definitely in the first two. It's one of my favorite NPCs. So here is the boss, Taurus Fire. So basically what happened is in the first game, our friend Bud Bison, he was merged with one of the aliens from another planet to become Taurus Fire. And so every so often, they just decide to figure out a way to bring Taurus Fire back. He's the only boss, I believe, that's in every single Star Force game.
It's kind of like Gutsman.
Yeah. Yep. So that's Taurus Fire, and yeah, that's it. So now we know that there's something going on here. Someone's trying to sabotage something around, which it would make sense. Nothing ever just goes the way you plan it. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna go check on this, and he's gonna tell us that apparently they've gotten a threatening letter saying that someone's trying to stop the concert. So we're gonna go around. We joined a new team, which has the purpose to save Sonia's concert. Now that's a new mechanic in this game. Is with all of your brothers, you can choose to form a team with a single purpose behind it, and that way your relationships have more meaning behind them if you're all working towards a common goal. It's kind of the theme of this game.
And currently you're on a team, and the purpose is to eat good pizza, right?
So that was what everyone thought it was going to be. But
I would have picked it.
For sure. Yep, this game is in 3D. It's they definitely like to make use of the camera angles, even though some people like to turn the camera angles off during the battle.
Does that affect the speed at all?
It does not affect the speed at all, although it does take time to change the camera angle.
Ah, so it's slower to not use the fancy camera.
Okay, I guess I wasn't close enough. So right now,
just blowing hot air.
Apparently someone's going around freezing a bunch of things, and as we just fought Taurus Fire,
It's Iceman.
The being that merges with Bud Bison to become Taurus Fire has, felt sorry about his actions, about what he's done to Bud, so he decided to become his wizard in this game, similar to how Omegasys is our wizard. And we can merge with him to become Mega Man. So Bud decided to lend us Taurus so that he can help us melt a lot of these different things of ice that we're finding all over the place. Also, this is one of my favorite things. Basically, what we just heard is that the security wizard that was outside of the place told us that there was a bomb threat in this car. So we decided to send a 12-year-old to go and help defuse it.
Naturally.
Or figure out what was going on. Yeah, because you just always send underage children to
I'm pretty sure in the Battle Network and Star Force games, once you reach a certain age, you just aren't able to do anything anymore.
Yep, apparently that's how it works.
Unless you have a custom sprite.
Yes, Prof. It's a stunt car, so it is quite banged up.
That was a cool sound effect.
Yep, so that was the event stage that has now been made for the concert. Completely out of matter waves, or electromagnetic waves.
Real matter waves.
Yes. And so now the stage is frozen over, and we decided to jump off it onto the wave road as we, transformed. With a bunch of people, by the way. It's supposed to be a secret that we're Mega Man, by the way. Not everyone in the world is supposed to know this. But with a bunch of people at the concert, we jump off, transform.
They were all frozen. No one saw anything. They were too distracted by Sonya.
Yeah.
It's fine. So what's going on here? You're chilling?
So this area has been slightly frozen over. So while we're standing on these ice panels, our temperature is going down. So if it reaches the bottom, we'll get frozen over, and we'll have to call in Taurus to help us out. Hopefully that shouldn't happen. If it does happen, I'll have to mash A to get out of it. There's no real time that... There's one time where the area being super frozen actually matters. So in this area, you don't see it as often. In this area, you'll start to see some darker ice, which makes our temperature go down way faster.
It's really cold ice.
Yes, really cold. There's also these different obstacles in our way, which we just call Taurus in to melt real quick. And as we said, here's the darker ice that drops our temperature way faster.
I haven't seen Beat in a while, Dan, but probably. Oh, Pete was able to leave.
So yeah, there's only one time where we have to go out of our way in order to take care of our temperature. Fortunately, the gimmick in this comp kind of doesn't really make a huge deal.
If you get frozen, does that do damage, or are you just locked in place for a second?
We're locked in place while we call in Taurus to come and melt us. We have to mash A to raise our temperature back. Oops, I need to be back here. Okay. So here is where it's kind of an issue. That is unfortunate timing. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. It'll just be annoying.
That's a cool chip.
It's the best chip. Card. Best
Cool
card, in my opinion. It's called Dance Fire 3. It's actually not really in the game. This game, you'll see a bit. You might see a bit more of it later. Has these things called illegal cards, which aren't really acquirable in the game except for through a specific mechanic.
Nice save.
Oh well, this boss,
Diamond eyes.
I don't think I can die to either. I say that now. Didn't get the good draw though.
So Diamond Ice, our second boss.
Yep. So she has these two ice cubes. Blocks things that are just going to be kind of obnoxious. She sends them at us several times. There's two ways she can send them at us. And then sometimes she'll send freezing air at us, like that. I just counter hit out of it.
Amazing.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't hit with the counter card that I wanted. And I'm going to use No, I'm just going to use Mech Flame. There we go. That is Diamond Ice. There's another attack that you didn't get to see, which is she has a chance to do instead of the freezing air, which is where she comes up to the front and tries to smack us with a hammer. But unfortunately, she didn't do that one. That one's a bit easier to counter hit as well. So we've saved the day yet again. The concert goes on. And as you can see, there's these two kind of sneaky characters that have managed to sneak their way into our class. One of them is supposedly a new student. The other's a new teacher. She's a kind of like an assistant teacher for our class. They're actually the bad guys, and their objective right now is to gather data on Mega Man, which is why they've infiltrated our class. And they're kind of they're very failing at it, but they're trying to be friends with Geo. So here is the Astro Wave, which is this game's method for being able to travel through different places in some instances. So for example, we weren't allowed to take the wave liner to this town or this island called Aloha, which is the next area. Sequel to Wazop, which is an area in Star Force 2 if you're not aware.
Imagine just being able to use the internet to go somewhere.
I know, that'd be so incredible. So yeah, this is Aloha. We're going on a school trip now, trying to research a little bit about their environmental system. They have a system in place that basically prevents all natural disasters.
Oh, so Battle Network 2.
Yes. So it's quite nice, So right now, actually, Bud is having a bit of trouble. apparently the food
Is he
stand's
hungry?
not. Yeah, he's
he's
really
hungry.
hungry, and the food stand's just not working.
It's
He also-
probably a virus.
he said that he doesn't yet know how to trans in or combine with Taurus on command.
He's just got to yell all in the air, right?
Well, unfortunately, that's not in this game. All I told him is that he has to press the R button, but apparently he still doesn't
Can't
get
find it. It's not bound.
Yeah, I guess so. That is also another objective of theirs, but their main objective and the reason for infiltrating the class is so that they can gather data on Mega Man, which they'll be using later on to cause some more trouble. So Sonia, the teen idol, is not really part of our class, but she also just happens to be here because she's trying to take a photo shoot for her next album cover, apparently. And so apparently the wall that they're trying to use wasn't working properly. They were trying to change it to have a bunch of flowers on it.
The wall wasn't working.
Yeah, the wall wasn't working.
Stairs are not currently functional.
Okay, so here I am gonna save because I don't want to pull a fat kid. So coming up is a gauntlet that I shouldn't die to, but theoretically I can.
Shoutouts to little_fat kid.
Yeah.
He's another runner of these games.
So these guys are kind of a pain. If you hit them, they start going crazy like that.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
Yeah.
So these viruses are G, which just means they have more health and do more damage.
They are giant viruses is what it stands for, yes.
Makes sense.
Oh, I somehow managed to shield that. Can't believe I missed. I'm disappointed. I didn't pull a longsword. I can't show off the Galaxy Advance.
I'm sure you'll get a chance.
Also, so now we have this thing called the noise program as well. This fight's gonna be sweet. Hold on. Easy.
You pressed A.
I pressed down and A.
My bad. Down and A.
Yep. So just before we entered the Astro Wave, we got a thing called the Noise Program, which is an ability that we automatically equipped. The way it works is a little strange. So I'll explain a little bit more about noise. Noise is basically like pollution given off by the different devices in the world, in this universe. And sometimes it crystallizes into a form called crimson, which can be very dangerous if noise can be very dangerous for humans to be in contact with for too long. And so the member of the National Police Force that we're in contact with, who gave us the Giga Energy card earlier, gave us this program that will allow us to essentially harness, we don't know that it's going to harness the noise yet, but it's going to help us deal with this noise a lot better because we're around it so much in this game. And so the way it works is on non-boss encounters, you'll see this counter in the top right of the main screen. That is the noise counter. So anytime I delete an enemy, of course. Hold on, let's see if I can punch this man. Anytime I delete a virus with a null element card that does more damage than they have health. So that was 80 damage, and they only had 50 health, so I got 30% noise. Once it reaches 50% noise, that is what is called vibrant noise, which will make a lot more sense later when I have gotten my noise change. But essentially, it has some minor effects. Once you get over 100% noise, the counter becomes red. And so there's a lot of crazy, weird things that happen at that time where basically, iframes stop existing.
For the enemies and you, or just them?
Just for the enemies. And attacks from me that would normally push enemies back, pull forward, and vice versa. And once you're over 100,
that's confusing.
Yeah. So once you're over 100% noise as well, you if you end the fight with over 100% noise, at the end of it, you'll get a random reward, which can be an illegal card, which I was mentioning earlier, or it could be a standard card. It really depends. So here is a really important part of the game.
Oh.
Really important
What are you
decision.
going to do? Who are you going to offend this time?
I'm
You going to get Bud's shirt?
I'm going to offend
seen Bud's
absolutely
shirt.
no one. I mean, I'm going to offend. I refuse to choose either of their.
So basically, that guy stole an item from each of your friends, and you picked which one to collect to bring back to that friend. So you picked who your favorite friend was, and he picked Bud's shirt.
Yep.
The other two choices were, what were they?
Luna's handkerchief, which is a gift from her mom, and Sonia's handbag, which was a gift from a fan, which apparently has sentimental value.
And the first option is Luna's, right?
Yes. Is technically the fastest option to select. However, typically it causes a lot of people to be angry whenever you choose one or two. So I usually go with 3.
It's kind of like, so much lesser degree, Save or Kill the Animals in
Yeah.
Super Metroid. It's like, do you pick the best item or the fast item?
Exactly. So now, the two that I was talking about earlier who have infiltrated the class, they're using these things called noise cards in order to send wizards out of control. Now, the wizard that's in control of the environmental system on this island was just sent out of control, and now he's causing earthquakes and all sorts of chaos. So we gotta go stop that real quick.
So did we talk about cloakers?
I was just actually gonna mention that. So first, let me explain. So in this area,
Jump.
There's a few times
Jump.
where there's earthquakes. There's also cracks in some of the areas that you have to jump over. And the panels behind me, you didn't quite see it, were falling out of place, and so I had to outrun them. But in this game, there's this thing called cloakers, which is similar to sneak runs in Battle Network.
Similar, maybe.
There's, I believe,
They run out after you use them.
Yeah, so what cloakers do is if you're at a certain HP threshold, you are able to completely ignore encounters in that area. Unfortunately, like you won't get them. They're completely blocked. However, hitting those HP thresholds is a little difficult. So typically, we just worry about the second use, which is the more important use, in my opinion, of cloakers, which is the fact that they lower the time it takes to get an encounter check. So rather than being X amount of frames, it's like 40 frames versus 20, I think, or 40 versus 60. So that way, we're getting encounters less frequently. Okay, I should have known that shark was going to be a jerk. Should I just Jack Corvus this guy?
I mean,
Use a
that
time
does
stop.
double damage, right, with the lightning. Or that.
Got the counter hit.
Does counter hit increase your rank?
Yes. So at the end of every battle, there's a rank that you get associated with how well you did. Getting a counter hit will increase that rank by 1, I think, up to a certain number of times, if I'm not mistaken. There's a few other things that lower it based off of the time it takes to defeat the battle, how many times you flinched from getting hit. All right, so this is the final area. This one is actually potentially a problem.
Corners.
Corners are very difficult. Okay, I'm good now. So it's like you have to just get to that place and then you're perfectly fine. Thank you, Prof. I did not trip. I took your
Reminder
advice.
to save.
Yes. Luckily, this boss is also really easy, especially because he's wood element and we have a lot of fire cards.
And so, especially...
Here's a warning encounter. So now I get to explain what a warning encounter is. Basically, every time an encounter check comes back successfully, there's a 1 in 14 chance or something like that, chance that it will be a warning encounter, which will basically just be one of the possible encounters for the area, but all of the viruses will be giant. They'll do more damage, they'll have more health, they'll move faster, and they won't take turns attacking, which is really odd, but it happens. All right, so this is Club Strong. Basically, he'll stomp. Whenever he does that stomp, he makes a grass panel under him. This is another attack he has.
It's kind of unfortunate for him.
Yes. It's.
Oh.
There's several ways I could have chosen to kill this guy.
Poor guy.
Just gonna press A there.
Oh, man.
So yeah, like I said, that boss is kind of easy just because of the fact that he is wood, and the whole purpose of this run is to make use of fire cards. So now we've learned a little bit more. We kind of know that those two were, being a little evil because, Strong actually went back to being normal and told us what was going on. So now we're gonna go fight them. This fight is gonna be interesting. I wonder if I can pull this off. So this isn't an actual fight. I just have to do 350 damage, which I did get to do. So I'm gonna take an intentional death here.
No, don't die. Oh, no. Well.
This is a forced loss, so it doesn't matter if you actually die.
But doing damage would be an alternative way to end the fight?
Yes, if you do exactly 350 damage, the fight just ends.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, you can do more, I guess. But doing at least 350 damage causes the fight to just end. So, at that point in the game, a new character showed up named Joker. He's also on the side of the two strange children that infiltrated our class and are now no longer part of our class because we know what they're doing. And once we had saved Strong from being out of control, he deleted Strong and realized that we were, that our power grows when we lose someone close to us. He realized that apparently happens to us. And so after that fight with Jack Corvus, our friend Luna showed up. And then Joker showed up and was telling the two children that they shouldn't be fighting us. And that, they should report back to the organization that they work for. And when Luna showed up, he decided to obliterate her. Yeah, our friend is currently dead.
Well, they're just like in pieces.
Is here, and there, and there.
She's made of real matter.
So right now, we're trying to figure out a way to potentially bring her back to life. Because we don't actually know this in the game yet, but basically when Joker hit her with his laser beam, it turned her into matter waves, or into electromagnetic waves, and then split her into several pieces. So we can recover the fragments, and we can rebuild her.
We're going to defrag the hard drive.
Yes. So here we are at what is known as the National WASA. I forget exactly what WASA stands for. Basically, it's like this big international government agency that tries to keep the world safe. It also has the international police here. And so we're here to try and figure out how we can bring Luna back. So we're just walking around talking to people while we wait for the important people to come out. Fortunately, we have to wait a little bit longer, so we're going to go help this other guy out that we talked to that was apparently experiencing a problem. We cannot, unfortunately, make her any more useful than she was before. She will continue to be useless, in my opinion. All right, so another one of the people here gave us a folder that I can use now to take the good stuff out.
Folder 2. It's like Christmas. Look at all these presents.
And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to put these in here. So we have some more fire cards.
Drill Arm.
We have this new card called Drill Arm, which is really good.
I think you mean Lucky Typhlosion.
Yes, yes. Okay, I've been told WASA stands for Worldwide Aeronautics and Space, Space
I'm not sure that's
Administration.
entirely accurate.
It's okay. Don't have to worry about it. I don't have enough Zenny at the current moment, so I can't buy all the cloakers that I need. So I'm gonna grab that, and now I do have enough. So I'll go back to that merchant that we saw and buy some cloakers after I help this man out by deleting the virus that's in here.
I see. Is there any downtime you want to talk about, like the indie games?
Yeah, I think now might be actually a pretty good time. There's not really much happening. Talking about One Step from Eden. Oh.
Yeah.
So as you might be able to see on the shirt that I'm wearing, here at MAGFest, there's a few indie games that have that are based on the Battle Network series mainly. One of them is One Step from Eden. It's a really good game if you can go check. It also has they have a free demo on their website that you can go and check out if you're interested. And you can also, they have a Kickstarter currently that has already met their goal, but if you want to go back that project, you can feel free to. There's also another game that's a bit more early in development called Ether After, which is very similar, a little more like turn-based overworld movement, but same combat system. It's quite cool. So if you're here at MAGFest, I would highly recommend checking those out. So we're just going to buy all of the cloakers that we need for the rest of the run. They were that shameless? No, I actually got this shirt by beating the demo, and I just want to support them. They are...
Yeah, it's a really good game. It takes a very different, like,
Yeah.
It's not so much, we're just going to make another Battle Network game. It's like, what if we took those elements and put it into a roguelike?
Yeah.
Or Aether After has a very different thing. It's like, well, what if we took that, but it's where you've got like the turn-based thing where the custom gauge fields and then you select different cards. So it flows a lot better. Just needs some more smoothness in the controls.
So right now, we have gotten this new wizard from our friend at WASA, who essentially can help us find these fragments of Luna. One might call this a Luna frag search.
Would be fitting, Ned.
Yes, there's also another indie game that is also very much based on the Battle Network combat system called End Cycle Versus, which has released on Steam Early Access, as far as I'm aware, a couple days ago. It's also really good. If you're interested in the battle system of Battle Network, I highly recommend checking all of these games out.
Yeah, it's interesting because they all kind of like were inspired by similar source material, but took it in very different ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Except for Chrono X, that one's more like just Battle Network.
Yes.
Yeah, and then also we will mention, I guess, Shanghai EXE, because it was another game that was in development, and it actually had like a Star Force mode, which
Yeah.
was pretty interesting.
It had a I didn't do the
You
thing.
didn't press A?
How could I do this? I forgot about it, to be honest.
Certain cards have like special inputs you can do to get additional attacks. Nice.
Okay.
Calculated.
He just moved right back into my attack.
You tried to jump in front of you, and it's like, there's a drill there.
Yep. So unfortunately, we're now at 100 HP, which makes me a little scared for this next fight. That's okay. I'm actually going to save before it. As much as I hate doing that. Save. I didn't even realize that was voiced in this game.
That is interesting.
Oh, right, I have to. Luna frag search. Ah, okay. I see what he was talking about. Ah, that's right, acid. I didn't want to do that. Okay, we're fine. Can't die now. This guy only does, what, 80 damage? Is that what I figured out the other day when I died to it?
Yeah, that was funny.
He does what now? I thought it did 50.
Yeah. Since like you're playing this game with far fewer upgrades, you've got a lot less health to work with, and some of these enemies do a lot of damage.
Yeah. There was 2 grass panels that we were standing on, and there was a fire enemy that I was really scared could shoot at me and one-hit me. So the moment that basically every other virus was deleted except for that one grass guy in the back, I knew the fight was over. So at the end of this, there's 2 more fragments that we're going to pick up. And with that, then we're going to try and go back to Waza. But on the way, we'll be getting our noise change. So in this game, this is Red Joker. There are 5 noise changes that I can get. There's Taurus, Crown, Wolf, Cygnus, and Virgo. Those are the 5 that I can get during this noise change that's coming up. I'll explain more about this one, the specific one that I get, rather than going through every detail of each of those 5, given that it won't be too relevant once I get one of them. So apparently, the data that was being used or collected about Mega Man is now being used to attack Waza. So now we can't take the Waveliner back to Waza. We have to go back through the Astro Wave. But on the way, we're going to meet an unexpected friend. I'm going to save here, actually. I've come close to dying to this fight. I've never done it, but I've come very close, and I'd rather not.
So if you redo the fight, you get a different style?
Yeah.
It's just random. That's pretty interesting.
It's random. Yeah, it's completely random, like the moment you delete all of the viruses.
Yeah. Cool. Well, maybe not.
Okay, so one cool thing about Madfire is that if you shield right before you use it, it then goes down all 3 rows.
Oh, interesting.
So I got Crown. Interesting. So Crown is an elec-based noise. Once I get to vibrant noise, or 50% noise, my charge shot becomes essentially a plasma gun. And some other things, different elec cards are boosted by, I think, 20? They have a little bit of damage boost in there. Also, all...
This minigame.
Yes, the mashing minigame. All null cards that I use once I'm at vibrant noise, 50% or higher, will blind the enemy, making it so that their attacks come out a little bit weirder. I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently than I normally do, simply because I'm using a little bit of a different controller than I'm used to. Actually, you know, this works out just fine. This is exactly what I wanted.
So this is actually just based off of how many you kill, right? There's not
Yes.
like a time limit?
There's a number that I have to kill. So this is what the organization, which is known as Dealer, by the way, the evil organization in this game, they've been collecting data on Mega Man, and they decided to grow copies of Omegasis, which happen to be very weak, because Omegasis can literally just slap them and they die. But if we get hit by them, we have to go into a full encounter to delete them. So the ideal situation is that I just slap enough of them. So this game is mainly played in 2 dimensions, but there is a Z-axis. And here, it kind of messes with the hitboxes of some of these. Like, I was wondering if I could try and hit the one that was all the way at the top right, and so I kind of ignored this guy that was just slowly approaching me.
He just walked up and touched you.
Yep. Just gonna use Jack Corvus because
You pressed A.
really easy. Unfortunately, I can't get Ophiuka noise in this game. That is a Black Ace specific one. I'd have to get another 2 noise changes before I could get it. And it's something like a 2.5% chance of happening.
I think there is a health bar on the top right, but this doesn't last nearly long enough for that to go down.
Run diagonally in a lot of straight ways when running. Is there a slight speed boost or movement efficiency increase to doing it that way?
Is the movement the same as in Battle Network?
I've not 100% confirmed, but I actually do believe it is. So basically, because this is isometric, the movement's a little weird in that moving up and down is significantly faster than moving horizontally. So as a result, I will try and essentially cut my movement short if I can whenever I'm moving horizontally to switch to moving either diagonally or to moving vertically.
Whoa. Which, I mean, that's sort of accurate. You move at the same speed, but because it's isometric, it's squished vertically, so you cover more ground when you're moving vertically or diagonally. But if you're just moving horizontally, that's like the longest dimension.
Yeah.
It's weird. But that's why.
Even with Brother cards, you can't rig the first noise change. In the Japanese version, I believe there's something called the Transformation Archive, which allows you to, you get a set folder, but you're allowed to basically guarantee yourself a specific noise. However, this is the English version, and the category that I'm technically running wouldn't allow something like that. I'm pretty confident. I could reset until I got the one I wanted, yes. However, that would take up a lot of time, potentially. This minigame is almost over. I'm not worried about the health bar going down.
Mm-hmm.
So we've dealt with all the copies, but now the friend that we met, who was actually a boss from Star Force 2, for our noise change, his name is Dark Phantom, has taken the area captive, which we need to resurrect Luna. But we just kind of scared him into going into the computer now for some reason. I don't really get that whole thing. And
Mega Man.
just suddenly, you know, now he's scared and we have to go fight him. So.
Main computer? Are you going to have to enter a password like cat?
No. There's no B password on here.
Very secure.
So, as I was mentioning earlier about Acorn Bomb being the main way that we deal with viruses, the way it works is whenever I use it, if I press up on the D-pad, it'll pop the bomb immediately and deal damage to all of the surrounding panels. However, it'll also run into any enemies and blow itself up that way as well, which is unfortunate when you have viruses like those bird viruses that kind of just move around randomly and can't really do a whole lot when they move right in front of you and make it so that other enemies don't get hit. So this time I'm going to show you the command code for Acid Ace. See, if I press A, right as he slices, he'll slice a second time for 170 extra damage.
Pretty good. Nice counter.
And that is Dark Phantom.
Grass panels.
So now one of the children that had infiltrated our class earlier, known as Queen Tia. Well, I guess it's actually Princess Tia, and she apparently also has one of the aliens from another planet that she can merge with, and she is the one leading this this operation here. So we have to go fight her.
There's a card theme going on here.
Queen Virgo. 1, 2. She's gonna attack. I didn't get the counter hit. Oh well. She moves twice and then attacks, and I can usually counter hit her pretty easily.
There is a pretty good clip.
There's a really there's a really easy way to counter hit her. Unfortunately, I keep missing it. I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do this. Whatever.
Sounds good.
Hopefully she moves to the middle.
And
Oh, this was a mistake.
so she's invulnerable?
Yes. If you move into her row, she will put up this shield. There we go. Well, I can't counter hit to get the Thunderbolt Blade. I'm gonna just counter hit her to show off Thunderbolt Blade.
That sounds good. So
Oh wait, what?
the counter you get depends on your style?
So, really? I let her do this attack? What? What is this fight? So once you're at Vibrant Noise or 50% or higher, counter hitting gets you a very specific card to your noise. So because I'm a Lek, I get Thunderbolt Blade, which is 120 damage times 3. She's Aqua element, so it technically does 720 damage.
Nice.
I still managed to S-rank despite that really.
Well, you did not get hit and you counter hit a bunch.
Yes.
It just enjoyed that you used Thunderblade.
So now we have this ominous no music situation.
No music. This is my favorite thing. It was in Battle Network 2 earlier.
Yeah. The reason that this is like this is because we're heading to the place where they're going to try and reconstruct Luna, and we're going to skip the cutscene, but
Defragged.
it goes all according to plan, and Luna is now back among us.
How unfortunate.
Yes, now we have to actually go and help her become student body president because that is still our purpose.
I'm glad she's got her priorities straight.
Yep. Second she's back, it's like, oh, well, back to what we're doing.
Continue the campaign.
So our job right now is to talk to the different teachers and, basically kiss up to them and try and get them on our side so they'll vote for Luna.
The teachers vote too?
Apparently. There's 2 particular NPCs we have to talk to, and then a 3rd NPC appears in that hallway we were just walking through that will tell us to go talk to another guy. Elevator. So here's our teacher, who has randomly decided to show up. Tells us we have to go help the gardener. Oops.
Why is it Cygnus? So what would be the best noise since you got crowned?
So I've been going a little bit back and forth on this. I believe Taurus would be the best for this speedrun because you have a lot of fire cards. Taurus has the ability to increase fire cards damage by 50, which is a lot of damage, especially when that's doubled because of grass panels.
And my favorite, super armor.
Yes, it has super armor, which makes it so that we basically just kind of ignore the fact that we can flinch from time to time. So I actually probably should have saved before this fight, but luckily I drew Jack Corvus, so I'm just going to mash A to kill the one guy who can almost one-shot me with a single punch. And then this guy is just kind of whatever.
He's got bubbles.
So basically, apparently Jack, who is the brother of Queen Virgo, who we just arrested, essentially, has been tampering with different things and is, just kind of going on a rampage right now. One might think he'll be the next boss. So now we've helped out.
Wolf Woods operator?
Yes, that is Wolf Woods. His name is Damien Wolf, and his alien is known as Wolf as well. And when they combine, they become Wolf Woods.
I guess there was nothing going on Planet FM, so they're like, hey, let's go hang out.
Yeah, they all just came over to planet Earth. So we're supposed to be helping Luna with speech practice right now, but we actually just got an email from our friend Ace over at the Satella Police headquarters who wants us to come to the main computer CC where we just fought Dark Phantom. Just kind of, it was a little weird the way he did it. He just says, come over here to this one place. Yeah.
I think he's just trying to get you to buy more Mega Snacks for him.
Yeah, that's probably true. The character Ace from the Satella Police, he shows up at the beginning of the game and at our school and just buys all of the Mega Snacks from the snack counter.
Yeah, you go there afterwards and she's like, sorry, we're sold out.
Yeah, it's quite funny. And in a lot of cutscenes, you just see him eating them. Like, that's how a lot of the cutscenes start with him.
I forgot about that.
So, a little bit of backstory about the character Ace. He was actually also a member of the evil organization Dealer, back with Queen Tia and Jack. So,
I guess he did meet all of the requirements of having a name that is a card type.
yeah. That was weird.
Just could push the A button.
Well, his name's not quite Ace. It just so happens that his
Acronym.
the initials.
What's his last name? It's like AC.
It's Arthur C. Eos.
Arthur.
I was supposed to use a cloaker here. Luckily, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get the second encounter anyway.
Nice RNG.
Yeah. So here is Acid Ace. He just randomly attacked us. I think we might be a little concerned here. He just randomly started to attack us.
It's kind of rude. Nice counter.
Easy counter hits. So
Not 100%.
the way he works is that he'll move 3 times and then sometimes do an attack. When he's charging up like that, that's when you can counter hit him.
I see.
But he doesn't always do that. Sometimes he'll move 5 times and then double slice.
Acid Ace. I'd like you to meet my friend.
Yes.
Acid Ace.
So that was Acid Ace. We didn't actually get to delete him because he's not actually trying to kill us. Although technically, if we lost to him, it would have been
a game over.
Would have been a game over.
It's a serious fake fight.
Yeah. He was basically just trying to test us so he can have us join his new organization to destroy Dealer.
Oh, so now we have a new team.
Well, we're still also on the other team, but, it's really weird. It doesn't list multiple teams, but we're still technically on the other team as well. So I just equipped an ability which I got from Cypher Codes earlier in the game, which gives me plus 500 HP. So while my base HP is actually supposed to be 100, because of this ability, I now have 600 HP, which means I am way safer during a lot of these fights.
Potentially, it also just means you're more careless.
It definitely does. If I were Taurus Noise and I had super armor, I would be super careless on all of these fights.
Oh, your friends showed up.
Yeah, they're supposedly with us, but I don't know why we're doing all the work here. Like,
I'm sure that there are other fights that we don't see happening.
Yeah, of course.
You didn't take Lucky Taxation.
Of course he did that. Did I? Yeah, I just used the wrong thing.
Let's chill. See, this fight would already be over if you drew Right Sword L.
This fight would already be over if I didn't have the layered Acorn Bomb. Speaking of which, I should explain.
Yeah, layering.
Layering. So, this game, unlike the other Star Force games, allowed you to select cards both in the same row and in the same column. In order to make up for this fact, sometimes cards are layered, which means that you can't select them with all of the other cards. Which means that instead you can either choose to pick the layered cards one at a time, or, like you see here, I can either choose to single use it or I can support use it, which makes the card into grass stage. That's how grass layered cards work. Null elements would become area eater, That was unfortunate. That draw was a little bad here. Not liking this too much. Didn't quite get the counter hit there.
And the darkened colors because he used gravity. Something?
Yes, so there's a
Holds them in
card
place.
called Gravity Plus, which we can put on to the end of a card, which will cause it to apply the gravity effect, which makes it so that they can't move from the spot that they're on. I have not quite figured this out, but some enemies have the ability to essentially cancel the gravity effect early. Specifically, Jack Corvus, I've noticed, has done that. I'm going to pulse out here just to heal up a little bit, just to be a little bit safer, because I know that when you walk into the cutscene trigger, it'll pulse me right back in.
Cool. Nice counter.
It usually works out where if you just press Acorn Bomb right at the start, you get a counter hit. So, oh, one thing I forgot to mention about crown noise is that on every single first custom screen, you are now guaranteed a mega card. This is the reason that I'm debating whether or not crown or
That's
Taurus
interesting.
is...
So if you had one mega card, you would always start with that?
Yes.
Even if it wasn't default?
Yes. It would always be somewhere on my custom screen.
Okay. So you could do that depending on then like what default card you had set. Like I guess grass stage on default, draw Jack Corvus, 600 damage.
Well, with Acorn Bomb, it's 740 damage for free, which is...
Oh, so you can use both? What if they're on like
if they're on different rows, unfortunately, that wouldn't always work.
That'd be cool.
But that was something I was considering messing around with, is like, if I get crown noise, taking Acid Ace out of my folder so that I could
Just
always draw Jack Corvus. But it turns out that Acid Ace version 3 is also really good for certain fights because it's a free 370 damage that you're always drawing.
That's true.
And it doesn't require you to pick it with Acid Ace or with Acorn Bomb to be good.
Which I think is kind of cool. Like the Battle Network and Star Force games, like for a speedrun setting, they offer you a lot of different options. And honestly, we're still sort of exploring them. The games, the routes for them could be further optimized. So if it's a series that you're interested in and you want to give speedrunning a try, maybe you'll find a new strat.
Yep. So right there, I did a bit of a safety strat and bought a couple extra D-energies. What D-energies do is basically full heal me whenever I use it. That will be useful near the end of the game during the boss rush, where I will probably be taking a lot of damage. And there's one fight in particular that I want to full heal for, and then I also want to full heal before the final boss. So that this way, if anything ridiculous happens, I can always just use a D-energy and be safe.
So what's the deal with these noise waves? You're searching for something?
So right now, basically, we're finding viruses randomly in the real world. And it turns out that they're coming, we found out that they're coming from these noise waves. What noise waves are is essentially, the noise is so condensed in this area that it just created a whole new area that we can explore. We're not able to directly pulse out of this area. To exit it, we have to find an exit. There's 4 different possible locations, but for each noise wave, it's always the same. And we're trying to find these things, these clusters of noise that are causing the viruses to appear. We later learned that Jack Corvus has put all of these here. In fact, it's going to be during this cutscene that I'm going to be skipping momentarily.
So you know like where they all are, and then where you start's random.
Yeah.
The items in a fixed spot, and then the exit's random.
Items are in the same spot. The NPCs you can talk to are always in the same spot, and the exit. I said the exit is the same spot, but yes, the location that you spawn is random every time, which is a little annoying sometimes, but
yeah. Is it the same map for all the different noise areas?
Yeah, it's the exact same map, except for very specific noise waves, which are numbered rather than named. So noise wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all have like very specific maps to them. But every other noise wave is the exact same map with just different items, different exits. So now that we've dealt with the real world virus problem, we're going to go back to Waza, and the team name that we have recently joined is called the Satella Police Commandos. So the Commandos' first mission has been a success, so we're going to head back and celebrate and then head back home.
I like how that specific section of road is made of real matter waves, so the train can just drive through it.
Yep. Just disappears briefly and then comes right back.
And if you put your visualizer on, you can actually see it's got like an orange outline.
Yep,
Which is weird.
because you can recognize that it is in fact a matter wave, not real earth or ground.
So why Star Force 3? Why do you speedrun this game?
So this game is significantly more polished than its predecessors. Star Force 1 was definitely a really good game. Had a lot of new elements that it took some things from Battle Network. It added a lot of new things like the whole combat system, and it definitely wasn't the best game simply because it was a first try. They were trying things out. Not everything worked. There were certain quality of life changes that could be made. Star Force 2 made some of those quality of life changes, but also backtracked in a few areas. And so, as a result, Star Force 3 is definitely the most polished game in my opinion. It has a good enough story in my opinion. It's not as good as Star Force 1, but it's definitely better than Star Force 2 in my opinion. It adds a lot of quality of life things, such as when you use a card, your fully charged buster doesn't go away. The whole having invincibility frames for a brief moment whenever you use a lock-on card.
That's unique to 3?
That is completely unique to 3. And the encounter rate in this game is also significantly better than it was in 2 and even in 1. So
it's much higher in those.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you're being bombarded with encounters as you walk through different areas.
Cool. So like the Battle Network, you started with 3.
Yes.
And you played those as they came out, or
yeah,
only recently?
So I played Battle Network 3, 4, 5, and 6 as they came out, and then I later went and played 1 and 2 like in high school.
So a good one to start with.
And then I've also played the Star Force games as they came out.
Cool.
I always chose my version based off of which version my brother wanted, because we always...
You get both.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
The only one that we don't have collectively is Star Force 1 Pegasus.
Because for some reason, like, starting with Battle Network 3 and continuing through Star Force, each game had multiple versions where they gave, like, each one unique battleships, so you kind of had to have both to complete the library. But with Star Force 1, for some reason, they had 3. Oh, we got a new minigame here, you and I.
This minigame. Okay, so basically, the way it works is a bunch of noise clusters pop up, and we have to use the D-pad to move our cursor over them, and then press A or B to buster them, so that Rogue, our rival technically, but he's being our friend right now, can go and slice the noise monster in front of us,
and then
so that we can move on.
Yeah, and they have an increasing amount of health, as well as more projectiles on the screen, and depending on how quickly you clear all of them, Rogue will either do 1 slash or 2 slashes or 3 at most.
Yes.
And so clearing it quickly, depending kind of on where they spawn and how they move, if you can get multiple triple hits, you can do it in fewer cycles.
Yep, so this one has, I believe, 7 health. So I really only needed the 1 3 hit in order to be as fast as possible. Yeah, he has exactly 7. So luckily I got that one early on because I am very bad at this minigame.
It's kind of strange that since they have the touchscreen, you'd almost think they'd use it.
Yeah, I kind of hoped it. I kind of hope they would have used the touchscreen for this minigame because This is the worst thing in this game for me. Is just how bad I am at this. This guy has 9 health, so ideally, I would get all 3 hits. It's not gonna happen, as one can see right now. So if you don't delete, after a while, the noise clusters start to glow red. Some of them do. And if you fail it, if you fail to hit it before it explodes, you take damage. And it's not really damage, because the way it works is you can get hit 3 times, and once you get hit 3 times, you're knocked out of the area.
I had actually never seen that before, so thanks for showing it off.
Yeah, I was totally just intentionally showing that off, by the way.
I appreciate it.
So yeah, like I said, this guy has 9 health, so because I didn't get the 3rd hit on the 3rd attempt, well, 4th, I guess, I had to do it one more time. This guy has 12 health. Ideally, I would get 4 3 hits in a row. However, there's a lot of noise clustered around here. Okay, I don't understand how that one didn't hit.
It's also cool, we haven't seen it yet, but if the 2 of the projectiles overlap, you can take them both out with one shot, which is kind of nice. They're not cooperating, though.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Gotta make sure I got the 1 before it exploded. So yeah, this is likely gonna take 6 attempts. Almost could have 2 hit that one. So yeah. Oh wow, I got a 3 hit there. Let's go. Too bad it doesn't matter in the long scheme of things. One can theoretically.
Maybe it mattered.
Theoretically, one could have just mashed through that, but. All right, so now our good friend Rogue decided that he doesn't want to play nice with us anymore, and yeah, so we gotta meet him real quick before we can fight Jack, who is the one who's actually attacking the school right now.
So Rogue showed up in 2?
Yes, Rogue's initial appearance was in Star Force 2. This is gonna be a really fast fight.
Nice. Just the power of grass mountains.
It's quite incredible.
That's right.
So, I'm gonna actually save before this fight. I'm not gonna die to it. The whole point of equipping HP plus 500 is so fights like this are not nearly as challenging. But I'm saving just to be safe. This fight can be really annoying. So basically, I find it funny, Rogue, I didn't even let Rogue do any attacks. So this guy, the first thing he does is summon 3 fireballs that just come at us, kind of like his Mega Cart.
Whoa. Nice freeze frame.
Yep. So, as I said, Jack Orvis apparently just has the ability to cancel out of the gravity effect. Oh, I can show it off. So that was what we call a Galaxy Advance in this game, which Star Force 1 and 2 did not have. Selecting 3 cards, usually in a very specific order, allows you to... I was wondering if that was going to happen. Didn't think
Those
so.
fires are blocking all your attacks.
Yeah. So because that was essentially what in Battle Network is the Longsword Program Advance. With sword, wide sword, and longsword. And it turns into Great Axe, which does... I'm not showing that off yet. You'll see that later.
That mechanic happens at 200% noise?
Yeah, so at 200% noise, you have the ability to access the Meteor server, which you can access...
gives you a different folder,
yeah,
right?
It gives you a different form and a different folder. So you can access different levels of the Meteor server by getting more noise in 50% increments. So 250% would get you level 2, 300 would be level 3, etc., etc., all the way up till 950%. Noise meter caps out at 999.9.
Of course.
because the decimal point is 100% necessary. So right now we're just going through some text. We're a little sad because we thought Jack was our friend, and he went and betrayed us. So everyone's trying to cheer us up and whatnot as we decide to head to school. Also, this all happened during the election, during which Luna actually got elected student body president. So we successfully completed that purpose, and now we're gonna go talk to people about the fact that she is the new president on her command, even though we haven't talked to her yet.
Oh, so that still counts?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's simply just talk to everyone in the room, even though you don't really need to. There's like no indication you have to talk to everyone until after you've talked to Luna. There's also the one kid who's only there to be like a help request NPC.
Oh, I was wondering why you didn't talk to him.
Yeah, you don't have to
he
talk.
doesn't count.
You don't have to talk to him because he's always standing in that same spot because he has a help request. So he's more of like a continuous NPC. The other NPCs are not the same.
Oh, nice dodge.
Yeah.
That was unfortunate.
All according to plan. So I'm gonna use this to get rid of the red one. Oh no, it's not gonna work.
He can't stand on a hole.
He cannot. I'm
Oh, that
surprised
gun.
that was not a counter hit. There we go. So right now, the organization Dealer has been collecting Crimson, which is the crystallized form of noise, in order to attract a meteor, which is supposedly just completely made of noise, to Earth, so that so that the leader named King can control the meteor and essentially rule over the world by controlling this meteor. That is his master plan. However, they don't quite have enough Crimson, so Joker has been going around and is making random wizards go out of control. And at the end of every fight that we do, we notice that the wizards have a little bit of Crimson pop up and then fly away, which we can't really do a whole lot about. So we know something's going on, but it's not really a whole lot we can do except get rid of these wizards from going out of control.
Nice fight. Compared to the previous.
Well, luckily these fights in this area only have the one wizard. Having two wizards in them, it gets a little weird.
I feel like the King guy took lessons from Speedy Dave.
Alright. Spimo the cat. CC.
Like, that's like the mascot for the mall?
Yeah. It's just tucked away in a random corner. Because that's what you do with your mascots, right? You just put them somewhere. No. Press A.
You did it. You pressed A.
I did it.
So again, that's like a command code. So how tight is the timing on that? Pretty easy?
It's pretty easy.
Just as the sword hits.
Basically, as soon as he moves after locking on to the time that he's sliced with his sword completely works pretty much. So there's actually a few cyber cores, is what the CC stands for, that can't be accessed unless you have a certain key. There's two keys in the game that you can acquire. One we had to get as part of the story, which is why we have to go. Which is why they did it in that way. Like they didn't want you to enter this comp too early, so they locked it behind the story-based key. There's another key that we're not going to grab, which is entirely unnecessary unless you need to do post-game, which I do not. It's called the dealer key, and it is. Ooh, I wonder how this works. Support use. Support use. The support use for fire cards is attack plus 10. So right now, this should do 410 damage. That did a...
So it doesn't boost the second attack, maybe?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't boost the second attack, which is really odd.
Second attack must be like since it's a special command code, hard coded.
Yeah. That's why.
Did you just form a brother band with that guy?
No, that was an unskippable cutscene for some reason.
Interesting.
Basically, he was just contacting us to let us know that, or to check on the situation. We let him know that we've cleared the area, and so he's telling us to report back to base, essentially. Yeah, so the second slice on Acid Ace does 150 damage. So normally it would do 370, because the first slice does 220. So that's why it did exactly 390, which is a little unfortunate. I was always hoping that the second slice would be boosted by attack plus 10 as well, but today I learned.
I'm learning a whole lot. Like, you can fail the minigame, that's new.
Yeah, you can fail the minigame. You can always fail the minigame.
Except the cooking minigame.
Well, you can fail it, and then it just makes you do it again.
Impossible.
Which is the same.
No one's ever done it.
I have. Think I'm good at minigames? I don't play these games for the minigames. Actually, I'm going the wrong way.
I like all the little matars in different areas. You talk to them and they give you viruses specific to that area, kind of?
Yeah, so there's this one Mal-Wizard is what he's called.
Oh, he puts them everywhere?
Yeah, who's essentially spread all of these real-world viruses all over the place.
Interesting. Is there a benefit to clearing it? Like you get
rewards?
Yes,
you theoretically have to do all of them in order to complete your standard library, because once you've beaten all the real-world viruses, that Mal-Wizard will send you an email saying like, hey, come fight me in Aloha Ha. You unfight him. He's the only source in the game for getting a specific card, Mal-Wizard 3. So he's technically necessary to...
Unless you get it from like illegal data?
Yeah. Which I figured out how to get while I was working on a route for a 100% clear of this game.
Yeah. So like compared to the other Mega Man games, like the classic platformers, you can see those can be beaten relatively quickly. Most of them in under an hour. So like the Battle Network and the Star Force games, since they're an RPG, they take quite a bit longer. Even a classic one like say X, you can do a 100% run of that in still under an hour.
Yep.
But for these games, like you've looked into doing 100%, which would be a lot of post-game content and collecting all of the chips and stuff. So how long would a 100% run of Star Force 3 take?
So I don't have like a real estimate to go off
just
of.
Just a guess.
I would say it's under 10 hours.
It's crazy.
I know that there's one run that has been done that was, I think, 8.5 or something like that. It was around the 8-hour mark.
Ouch.
So right now, this is actually a unwinnable fight, which is why I haven't selected anything. We can't damage him. We're basically just waiting for a time limit to occur, so...
He did attack twice. That was cool.
Yes, that was after 5 movements. Sometimes he will move 5 times instead of 3, and then slice twice, which is really annoying when you're trying to get counter hits on him because you have no idea that he's going to have that pattern right then. So the reason that fight went the way it did is because, Acid is Ace's wizard that he can combine with, but Acid is a human-made wizard. He's not an actual like alien like Omegasis or Taurus are. So their merger is a little... Hey, the Omega Boss.
Nice. This is a really good song.
Unfortunately,
is
it goes
it a
away
random encounter?
right away.
Aww.
It's a warning encounter that'll occur after a while if you stay in the area.
It just hung out for a second.
So we, as part of this story, our mom doesn't know that we're Mega Man either.
Just everyone else.
Just all of our friends and, you know, all of Waza and a bunch of other random people.
Anyone that happened to be watching TV at the time.
Yeah. So they don't know, so she doesn't know that we're Mega Man, so we're just lying to her a bunch in this game. And like, that's kind of a major plot point throughout. So right now, what we're doing is we're now going to go investigate all of the different areas where those wizards went out of control. And we're going to find there's going to be noise waves in practically every area that we found a wizard, or at least kind of close by.
There's noise everywhere.
So the idea is to try and figure out how Joker got to each different area to support use that in order to like how he traveled through the areas so fast, and see if we can't find the dealer's base that way.
Yeah. Those panels that were on the ground before he changed them to grass, what are they called? Noise panels?
They're called hack panels.
Hack panels. And you can't step on them, so even with the lock-on stuff, so that's kind of how they balance or compensate that.
Yeah. So hack panels are really annoying, which is why I had to use grass stage there, so that, well, I used grass stage actually just because I had some fire cards that were going to be really useful. But hack panels can be really obnoxious because when you lock on, instead it puts you at the front of them rather than where it normally would place you. Can you guess what we have upcoming, by the way? A quiz. It is it's in my opinion the best quiz. Not in this noise wave though. That is very true. Geo did in fact fall out of space in part of an abandoned space station that his dad worked on in Star Force 1. Ooh, I messed that up. And your mom never asks a single question about it. Like, how did he end up in space?
It's a secret.
Oops, I went the wrong way. Forgot where the exit was for a brief moment. So I'm gonna show off just getting an illegal card here.
Whoa.
Cause, yeah. Aw.
Oh,
This is super unnecessary
that is overkill.
by a long shot. So here, we're at over 100% noise, and we got a random card, which we otherwise would not be able to get in the game.
So it's just completely random?
Yes. Well,
Sorry.
there's
Essentially.
there's a really like complicated process by which it determines what kind of card you should be getting. And so I got Earth Thunder 2, which is technically an illegal card. Unfortunately, Earth Thunder 2 is not very useful. So here is a quiz. Sup. Quiz noise. All right, first question. Which of these colors is his favorite?
What?
Yellow or blue?
He's red. Blue?
No, it's yellow.
Okay. So.
Which of these items did Sonia Strum have stolen from her at the beach?
Oh, her bag.
The empty bag?
I know that one. What? It wasn't an empty bag. But it was a bag.
Yes,
Okay.
it was the bag.
I thought you told me it was full of cherished items.
No, I said it was a gift from
The bag itself.
from a fan.
Okay.
All right, last question. Have you been keeping count?
How many
Of the
have
times
I
he said sup.
42.
Unfortunately, not your favorite number. It is my favorite number, 7.
Wow. I must have exaggerated. I thought the question was, where did the music go? That was a lot shorter.
Yes, there's only
Three
three questions.
I guess because it was a story one.
Yeah, that one was required.
Does this game have like quiz masters, the optional ones?
Yeah, there's actually one NPC in the hallway right outside your classroom who's just standing there, who is one of the quiz people.
Cool.
Even the noise thing picks Sonia's bag. It's okay, Arathar. I didn't pick Sonia's bag this time.
He also didn't pick Luna's handkerchief.
This is true. Ooh,
Warning.
warning. The nice thing about warning encounters is that it, gives you a warning before it happens. So sometimes you can manage to cancel them by either leaving the area or by getting a pop-up. If you have a pop-up, come
Does
up.
it just cancel it?
Yes. What it doesn't do is completely cancel it. So the next encounter will still be a warning encounter. So,
That's interesting.
so you can kind of chain it through an area to get no encounters, which is what I like to do if I get a warning encounter in the Rocket CC.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really useful for the speedrun. It's like really lucky when it happens, so it's not quite common.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, like all the different little mechanics and how you can take advantage of them.
Yeah.
In a speedrun, it's crazy. All the things that we've learned about these old games.
Yeah,
And
I just randomly learned that once because I had a warning encounter and
Yeah.
I was like, god dang it. And then I walked over a pop-up, was like, wait,
And it goes away.
it let me.
Which
Let
is
me just
pretty
use
fun.
this.
And I want to just give a shout out to like Prof9 because he does a lot of data mining on these games. Tells us exactly how the code works, and so we understand the mechanics better, like how random encounters happen, how
Yeah.
cloakers work.
He's
been
the
very
one.
useful.
He's definitely helped with that. One of the things he found out a bit more recently is exactly how noise changes work, and like help to figure out how that like you can only get version-specific ones for your first two and all of that. Exactly how you would be able to get rogue noise because it would be ideal for the speedrun, but unfortunately it's not.
Shelter.
It's not quite possible.
So you're a dealer's base now?
This is what. Yes, this is at dealer space. You can see all the little like D's all over the place, which is essentially dealer's logo.
Well, at least they're keeping it low key.
Yeah. So once we had gone through all of those 4 different noise waves, we put together a code which allowed us to access a different noise wave that that was unfortunate. That let us get to dealer space. Oh wait, no, that's a bad choice. Well, B-Slap is not the card I was looking for
That's
there.
funny. It's like, this is a
Slap.
bad choice. So I guess the problem with Beach Slap is there are some cards that you can't lock on with. They have a specific hit area, so he couldn't jump forward to hit the cannon in the back row.
Yep. B-Slap is one of those few cards that you actually cannot lock on with. It's really useful early on, which is why I picked up an extra copy and regged it. But during my next folder edit, I will be taking all copies out because it's not nearly as useful in the later parts of the game. Instead, we just have Acorn Bomb.
Carried by acorns.
Acorn Bomb is insane. Whoa. I was really hoping that he was going to stay right in that same row. Yeah, this will work. Of course.
Just halved your damage. Oh, and you can't hit him.
He comes forward every now and then, which is really nice.
I see.
However, it's not all that frequent, and it's a lingering hitbox. That was unfortunate.
This guy's doing work.
Yeah, that guy can be really obnoxious, especially if he gets his hack panels off. All right.
It's cool music.
It's about to change for the better. So we have now infiltrated dealer's base. They have no idea. So this theme is called Go Satella Police. It actually has 2 versions, one for when you're pulsed in and one for when you're in the real world. The one when you're pulsed in is like a little bit like higher key.
Yeah. What's your favorite theme for the Star Force 3 game?
There's so many. I don't actually know what my favorite is. I really like Go Satella Police. I really like this area's music as well.
Oh, the mechanic here.
So it's time for some puzzles.
Watching like people who are learning the speedrun for this try to do these sections quickly is very amusing.
Yeah, it was quite fun to learn these. So basically, whenever I walk on a card in some of these areas, the card will be flipped over, and the idea is to have all cards be facing down. I cannot step on the same card that I just walked off of, and I have to, like I said, flip them all into the down position. The early ones are, pretty self-explanatory how to do them. I went too early.
Hey, it's a spider.
I know, yeah. So, as you can see, my Buster is actually really bad right now. It only does 10 damage when fully charged. Hits for 1 as I rapid it.
Do you get an upgrade soon?
Luckily, which is why I'm mentioning it now,
Yeah.
I will be getting an upgrade very, very shortly.
Wow, that was a hard one.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So that's the first area for this this scenario. Now we have area 2. We have one more after this. So the puzzles in here are a little bit trickier. It takes you like a moment to think about sometimes. This one, not really as much. Just quickly step on that and then walk along. This one's kind of interesting. Just walk down, left, and up.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
It reminds me of my favorite password of the
Yeah.
Battle RT. You just hold left.
All right. Acorn Bomb is perfect for this
I
fight.
don't think we've seen these kunai guys yet.
We saw the version 1 of them earlier. I deleted them practically instantly.
Watch just like that.
They don't really get to do a whole lot sometimes.
They like spin around your area.
They're essentially like Boomer in this game, if you're familiar with Battle Network. All right, so now my cloaker's gonna expire, which is a really good indicator that I need to grab this. So I just grabbed something called Wizard Data. It's essentially a weapon I can equip Omegasys with to change my Buster. So now my Buster does more damage, and I think it has a little bit less rapid.
Oh,
So like
rip
that,
warning. So is your next encounter still going to be a warning?
it would be,
But you're done.
but now that I exit the area,
Cool.
that is no longer the case.
So the different busters you get, there's 3 stats that they all have: attack,
Yes.
charge, rapid. But then some of them also have special effects. Does this one have a special effect?
This one does not have a special effect. This one just does 5 damage per hit and has, I think, 2 charge. So it charges not too fast, but not too slow either.
But it does a lot of
But
damage.
it does a lot of damage and is really useful on one of the upcoming bosses, which hopefully I'll be able to show off without bullying that boss too hard.
Too much.
So here, just kind of go along the rows.
Oh, that was a more interesting one.
Yep, this is the final area, so some of the puzzles are a little tricky. This is probably the hardest puzzle to learn, and it also takes the longest to actually do.
There's some pretty funny highlights of this.
Yeah, I've messed this up a fair number of times. So that's how you do that as fast as possible, unless there might be a slightly faster solution that I've not yet seen.
Whoa.
I'm trying to get everything lined up so I can hit everybody with the Acorn Bomb.
I think this is slightly overkill.
Yeah, just a little bit. I did 600 damage to 2 enemies, both with 20 or less HP. But I did get Bushido too. That's a really, really good card. I already have 1 Bushido in my folder, so I can't really show off the benefits of having Bushido just yet, but soon we'll see why Bushido is potentially one of the best cards in the game. All right, so finished with all the puzzles, and now I'm going to fight some bosses. I'm actually going to save before this one and right after this one. Again with the ominous no music. So, we're getting attacked by acid again because Joker has the ability to have Acid access the Meteor server, which kind of makes him go out of control. All right, let's see if I can actually hit someone with B-Slap. Perfect. What a fight. Actually, I see the Great Axe. I'm not gonna do it. There's no need. Just have to press A. And that was Acid Ace. Got a pretty good draw. And now we have another boss coming up right away. We actually got a full heal after that fight, luckily. It didn't really matter because I was already at 540 out of 600. But sometimes it's actually really useful. This is Joker, which changed into Dread Joker. So,
this is kind of like, he's the name of the game because you're
Yes.
playing the Red Joker version.
So, his pattern's a little weird and very hard to counter hit. So, unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to do a bunch of damage. I've managed to do a fair amount because of a pretty good early draw. Oh, he didn't do the thing. He did a different thing that I didn't want him to do. So this is why Titan Glove is very useful. These rockets have 5 health. So, because of Titan Glove, I'm able to just delete them as they come out.
If you were to dodge, they'd go into your row.
Yes. So as I move rows, they change with me. Is he gonna come up to the front? He did. Rest in peace, Dread Joker.
That must have hurt.
Yep. God damn it, Erthar. Reminding me of yesterday. The mess up of Gator. Alright, so now that we've successfully dealt with Dealer, I mean, not really, because they have a secret base now that they managed to escape to.
A secret base?
Yes.
One wasn't enough.
One was not enough.
I guess that one kind of was a casino, so.
That was a brief glimpse into it before I skipped the cutscene. So actually, everyone who was once part of Dealer, except for 2 people, the leader, King, and his right-hand woman, Heartless, those are the only 2 members of Dealer left. So right now, he has gained control of Meteor G. It's now in orbit of... Oh, right, I have to talk to all these people first. It's now in orbit of Earth. He has it pretty much completely under his control. And he just had it fire a laser at Waza HQ. Normally, we're not able to use the Waveliner to get to National Waza HQ until we've done a special request. But specifically for this game, because of the fact that you have to go to Waza, the game allows you to just go there via Waveliner. And it's now covered in what is called jamming, which is essentially like really, really dense noise that was sent out from Meteor G. So Dr. Goodall, one of the characters from Waza, managed to get everyone evacuated from Waza in time. However, she wasn't able to escape herself, so we were sent to help her escape. So these guys are kind of annoying. They just kind of hide in their shell whenever you're in their same column.
It's the acorn bomb enemy. You should show a little appreciation.
Yes. So they're just a little annoying until they come to throw their acorn at you. So now she tells us that she's had everyone evacuated to Aloha Ha. And this was because Aloha Ha had the computing power to be able to handle all of the operations that Waza normally would be taking on, and this will help them continue to fight against Dealer. Even though he has Meteor G completely under his control. It is covered in jam because the aliens want to make a Waxa sandwich. Yes,
Sounds
indeed.
delicious.
So we're just told to go home and, you know, say hi to our mom, who, again, we've been kind of just doing stuff all day, and you know, haven't really told her where we are, and she's probably a little worried about us. Oh, quick story point. During that last fight, after we fought Dread Joker, he decides to self-detonate and blow up the entire base so that we can't really do anything as King escapes. In the process, Ace decides to wave change into Acid Ace and take the explosion on himself, thus saving us, but he is currently believed to be dead. And so we're gonna get an email from him, which is supposed to be, it's sent in the case of his demise. And it basically just tells us to keep fighting and gives us our first Giga card, which in this game is Dread Laser. The Giga cards are very specific to the version that you're in. So there's 5 per version, and in this game you get Dread Laser, and in Black Ace you would get Wingblade. Some people believe that Black Ace is the canon version because it doesn't make sense that you get a Giga card that has data about Dread Joker rather than about Acid Ace, but I don't mind either way. Even though Wingblade is definitely the better card. So now, WBG Studios, the studio that we went to earlier in the game, sent out a notice saying that we can't, you know, we gotta keep fighting against Dealer, and, you know, King was listening, so he just decided to shoot them with the laser from Meteor G. So now we have to go save them. This time there are 2 people who were left behind. So one thing that I wasn't sure about for the longest time is that for each of these different sections where you have to save people from the jamming, there's 3 noise waves that you can enter. They act similarly to other noise waves in that you spawn in a random location. There is an exit, but one thing that isn't random is that these people are always in the same spot in the same noise wave, no matter what. I used to always think that it was random. You had to check all 3 every time to find them. All right, so I'm actually going to do a very brief folder edit. Let's put this gig card in my folder. Because coming up right after we talk to her, we have a fight.
Hey, it's Omega.
Yep, so it's more of these copies of Omega Cyst. These ones are a bit more powerful than the ones we fought at Waza earlier in the game.
I mean, they are great.
Yes, they are gray. All right, so after that fight, we got an email from an anonymous source giving us a key to Dealer's secret base that they tell us is at the end of the Astro Wave that we were on earlier. So we're gonna go head over there now. We're gonna run into a bit of a roadblock because there's this guy who's trying to have a concert in the middle of the Astro Wave, I guess. Something like that, I don't know. This is a weird guy. And so he's gonna tell us to either, you know, sit through the 10-hour concert or we can battle him instead. So we're gonna take the battle and quickly deal with it.
Is there a story for his inclusion?
I believe that he is one of the contest winners. So in a lot of the Battle Network and Star Force games, there's they hold contests for user submitted designs.
So make your own Navi, make your own wizard.
Yeah. So this is Moon Destroyer. He was supposed to be included a bit more in the story itself, but they didn't end up following through with that. Instead, he just, has a concert and gets in the way. Just overall kind of annoying. So I just gotta Buster you. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and he backed up just in time.
So the fire doesn't go all the way?
It only goes back 3 rows, yes. Oh, he doesn't even do the second part.
Is that like a later version?
Yeah. He'll like come after he goes across the front, he'll also kick down. Yeah, this guy is definitely very forgettable. There is a Sigma version of him, which is like a post-game boss version that happens after you've completely beaten almost the entire game. So yeah, that was Moon Destroyer. And as a reward for beating him, he just lets us go by. Now we're gonna use this key, skip a couple of cutscenes, and we're gonna be at Dealer's secret base. And again, with the ominous no music.
Orbital base.
So, what has happened apparently is that Jack and Princess Tia have managed to break out of jail and have come back to take over Meteor G themselves. They have this long backstory where they were orphaned at a young age. They were part of a royal family in some small country that was caught up in a war, and they lost their parents to it. And so, as a result, they want to completely start over and crash Meteor G into the Earth. So, they have taken over King, or they have overtaken King, sent him into, well, I guess Heartless is the one who sent him into a noise wave, but basically, King is no longer really an issue, and Jack and Queen Tia are trying to send Meteor G into the Earth, which would wipe out almost the entire human population.
So this is kind of the start of the boss rush?
Yes. So now we're going through the boss rush to an extent where we have to fight all of the different versions of some of the bosses that or the version 2 of most of the bosses that we've fought throughout the game. So unfortunately, we can't really do anything with these controls, and Meteor G is just, coming straight towards Earth. Nothing we can do about it now, so we have to go back and formulate a plan. Some quick backstory about Heartless, this character here. She was supposedly King's right-hand woman, but what happened is she is a colleague of your dad, who has currently lost in space. And so she's trying to help find him and realize that your dad is actually in Meteor G, like in the meteor that is currently headed toward Earth.
What a coincidence.
So,
So you can first turn Gigas?
Yes. The unfortunate thing about Gigas is that they make a lot of the other cards layered.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, what I mean, you just take it and you win.
Yeah. But for boss fights, it gets kind of annoying. I do not believe chat is broken. We are currently able to read. Oh, that was unfortunate.
Right before the warp?
I was on the warp. I'm actually going to do it like this.
Don't move after the fight. See if you just teleport.
I think that's what's going to happen, honestly. So Drill Arm is a card that pushes back enemies, but if we're over 100% noise, like I mentioned earlier, it then instead pulls them forward.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is why it's a pretty good card if you can get... Okay, that's apparently not on the warp.
One frame.
Apparently not quite. Just awed by the plot twists. So one thing that I haven't quite done yet is there's a folder edit that I need to do. I got a third folder now with even more fancy cards.
It's the Kelvin folder because that was your father.
Yes.
Why are some of the cards have like green names? Are those boosted by your style?
The green names indicates that they are illegal. Those are the illegal cards that are not actually in the game, but they are if you can get them via strange means. I haven't quite put these in, so I'm going to take out all of the swords, wide swords. I'm going to take out a couple long swords as well because I have a few extra cards. And all of my beast slaps. And now I'm going to put in Bushido 2 and all of these cards. And that should be good.
Nice folder.
Yeah, my folder is looking pretty good at this point in the game. I actually have 5 Bushidos, which means that I can talk a bit more about how effective Bushidos are. So the way Bushidos work is if you select multiple, they get boosted per Bushido that you've selected. So for example, if you're able to select 3 Bushidos, well, we'll say 2 first. Bushido 1 normally does 110 damage. If you select 2 of them, they now do 160 damage, and instead of being a regular sword, they're now a wide sword. If you select 3, they're now boosted by 100 damage per Bushido and are now the equivalent of a life sword.
Wow. Each one.
Yes, each one will now do 210 damage and be the equivalent of a life sword.
That's cool.
So instead of doing 330 damage, you're doing 630 damage with 3 Bushidos.
Yeah.
So now we've come up with a plan, which is basically we're going to send Mega Man into Meteor G. We've enlisted the help of our friendly janitor from WBG Studios, who's apparently really good with making matter waves. So he's going to build us a barrier that will help us as we're being sent straight up to the meteor, or actually to the rocket that we managed to send into space during the first scenario. So we've also enlisted the help of our 6th grade friend, Woody, from the science club at Echo Ridge Elementary. Yes, this is government agency is enlisting the help of very young children. The real reasoning is that Woody's rocket, which is currently in space, has developed noise resistance due to the incident during the first scenario, which is why we're choosing to use that rocket instead of a professionally built one.
Everything all comes back together.
Yes.
The power of friendship.
Heat balls. Reminder that Heat Ball is a very bad card. You should take it out immediately if you're playing Star Force 1. All right, so we are now in a noise wave that connects to Meteor G. So we're just going to walk through it real quick, hopefully not get any random encounter, and we will be in the final area of the game.
Nice.
So there we go. And now, the idea for this area is that we have this button that I can technically click, which has a little silhouette of our dad. And so, as you'll see shortly, there's these doors that are in our way. And in order to open them, we're going to have to gather splinters of Kelvin. They're actually known as Kelvin splinters. If you click on the little icon, you can see exactly where they are. However, because I have them memorized, I don't need to.
So it just shows you a map.
It does not show you a map. It will literally change the perspective of the top screen to be the Kelvin splinter. So like, for example.
Oh.
So it doesn't really help too much. It just, you can kind of tell where they are based off of if you can see yourself on the screen, or you can look at, okay, this is unfortunate.
Oh.
So,
Gravity.
So this is a virus here called Gravity, which I cannot do damage to except with swords.
But you just put all those Bushido in your folder.
I did. Unfortunately, I drew none of them.
So when you run away, it's a certain percentage chance that goes up with each attempt?
Yes. On the 3rd attempt, it would be 100% chance to run away. I believe it starts off with a 40% chance. So the second part of this area, which you just saw, is that randomly Crimson will fly around and try and hit us. If we get hit by it, it'll just fly in straight lines, but we can beast slap it similar to the earlier scenario where we were beast slapping Omega Sys copies. And so if it hits us, we will get an encounter. That was weird. I forgot that you can throw the Acorn Bomb over holes, and I was like, I didn't want to throw it there. That was the worst place.
Should you use another cloaker?
Did I grab that one? I should, yes. Did I grab this?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. So then I can just move along. I'm going to get an extra wave of Crimson.
And the waves just appear after some randomly determined number of steps.
Yes. It's not even the same number of steps. Sometimes it takes longer for the Crimson waves to occur.
Yeah, random each wave.
Yeah, so usually you actually get an encounter between each wave of Crimson, but sometimes you get lucky and don't get that encounter. Sometimes you'll get 2 encounters between. It's pretty much the same timing as getting a random encounter for the waves of Crimson. Once you've gathered all of the Kelvin splinters, the waves of Crimson just sort of stop. You no longer have to worry about them.
That's right.
So yeah, in order to mash, I can technically mash the B button, but only, I can mash the A button as well, but only when there's a wave of Crimson out. So here we have the second boss of the boss rush, which is Diamond Dice version 2. So now I'm gonna see if I can't get her to come sort of forward so I can use Jack Corvus on her for a free 600 damage. She is kind of bullying me right now.
She knows.
Okay, there we go. That's what I want.
Okay.
This is a DS game, yes. I'm using the touchscreen to actually select my card. What? Okay, game.
That looks painful.
That was unfortunate.
It did the super effective. Ooh.
So you'll see it. They each do 110 damage. They get boosted to 210. And
Nice.
that's a lot of damage.
But she froze you and then hit you with the hammer, and that did breaking damage, so it was like super effective. So
Yeah, so if you ever get frozen by getting hit by something with the water element on ice panels, you'll be frozen. And whenever you get frozen during that fight, she will always, if she can, or if she, the only time she can't is if she's being blocked by one of her ice blocks. But if she gets the opportunity to, she will come forward and use her hammer on you. And it really hurts. All right, and so now we use another cloaker.
At least you can carry a bunch.
Yes, you can actually carry up to 99, yes, I believe, cloakers in this game. You're not limited by sub-memories as you are in Battle Network.
So what's the deal with the mood defender? It's only vulnerable at certain times?
Say that again?
I thought there was a gimmick to the mood defender. I couldn't remember.
So you can only hit them when their symbol is facing forward, and they turn as they move, so that you can't hit them for a brief moment while you're waiting for them to turn around. So the other thing with them is that if you just use a breaking attack on them, they just instantly get deleted.
Interesting.
So I could use drill arms, for example, to delete them at will. So, minor thing is that you can't interact with anything until all of the crimson is gone. So ideally, you would want to break all of the crimson if you're standing on top of the splinter, so that you can interact with it as soon as possible. This is because while there's Crimson in the air, you can use the A button to mash as well, so you cannot interact with anything. However, we've grabbed all of the Kelvin Splinters in this area, and now we're going to go fight another boss. So this time I actually have the ability to damage the gravity. Yes, no matter where the symbol is facing, you can always use a breaking card on them to delete the Mutex, or Mu Protectors. Alright. So now I'm going to save, not because I think I'm going to die, but because I'm at a lower health than I would, lower amount of health than I would like. Now we face Club Strong, who will likely just, well, there's kind of an issue with this fight in that I am actually a Lek element, which is weak against wood. So if I take damage from this guy, it's quite a bit.
It's pretty silly that he makes a grass panel as he jumps. Fire attacks are just so effective.
Ideally, it's because this allows him to heal like all of the time. I had a feeling my charge was going to come up in time.
Nice.
But yeah, so like he's constantly healing as a result of that, but because of the fact that we have so many fire cards, it just doesn't matter. Alright.
Should you use a cloaker?
I am going to use it a little bit later because...
Stretch it out?
Stretch it out, yeah. It doesn't really matter simply because I have more cloakers than I need to. I forgot to use one earlier. So, as I mentioned earlier, this game has a Z-axis, which with stairs in the area is going to become apparent when it looks like I get hit by some of these pieces of Crimson and I don't. It's going to be a little weird occasionally, so. So yeah.
Oh,
whatever.
First one, though.
Yeah. The final area. So sometimes the encounters that you get in these are giant viruses. So sometimes you can die to those fights if you get a little unlucky with your draws.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing with those dragon viruses that I had to buster a little bit earlier is that they actually are not hittable until you've bustered the bottom part 3 times. I wasn't sure if those were on the correct Z-axis or not at that point, so I wasn't sure if I had to deal with them. Ooh,
Nice.
That was annoying that it almost moved out of the way. All right. 2 more splinters, and we're essentially done with this area. Now, this should be the last wave of Crimson, unless, you know, I get hit like that. All right, so yeah, this was the virus I was talking about. You see those little 3 rings? You gotta hit them 3 times to knock them down to a point where you can actually damage them.
Nice fight. Do they regenerate?
No, so once you've knocked them off of those little rings, those never regenerate. Instead, they'll just move around every so often. So that is all of the Kelvin Splinters, and as a result, no longer be seeing any of the Crimson floating around.
Nice.
I will likely get 1 more random encounter, and then we'll face 2 bosses in a row, and then the final boss.
It's like you've played this game before.
All right, so Bushido.
Nice.
All right. So, I'm going to do a couple things here. Now that I no longer am going to be fighting any random encounters, I no longer need to have Acorn Bomb rigged. I also no longer really need these white cards as a result, so I'm going to choose a couple better ones. I think it's 2, 3, 4. Perfect.
Nice.
And I'm also just going to use a D energy just to be safe, and I'm going to save.
Cool.
Yep, so the best run I've ever had for this game, on emulator at least, is 2:17:06. This game can be pretty fast for an RPG. So here we are back with Jack Corvus version 2. This boss is really, really annoying because of the, yeah, so.
It's possible to get a counter hit during the attack, right?
Yeah, it's a little tricky with anything other than a drill arm, to be honest. I could have counter hit that super easily. Oh, hey. I just randomly got a counter hit? Okay.
Nice.
So I can technically just shield these things as well, or I can buster them. There's two options.
This guy's got a lot of health. I guess he's fire, right? And you don't have any water attacks?
Yes, that is correct. That's why this fight is kind of annoying. Ooh, I wanted that one. So this is annoying because this attack goes on for a while, and it's kind of random when the fire will come and attack me. So luckily I can knock him out of it. Oh. So he does that sometimes. If you're slow, like I am right now, I can access the meteor server. I'm not gonna do that because I'm showing that off as part of the final boss.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay, so this is getting a little dangerous. So that's how you can counter hit that attack. And that is Jack Corvus version 2. And now, I'm going to save before this fight, even though I can almost guarantee you this fight is going to be over super fast. Didn't really get a very good draw, and I can't counter hit with the second one. 2. So as I mentioned, at over 100%, you essentially can ignore iframes, which is really nice. And Thunderbolt Blade is going to do 720 damage here.
That's pretty good.
Oh, it's no longer at 100%. So yeah, the Giga card is really messing with this right now. But it's okay because get the counter hit. And she's gone. And with that, we are done with the boss rush, and we have 2 more fights left, technically. I don't want to use a Cloaker. I want to use a D energy. I also want to do a quick folder edit. So Jack Corvus V3 and Mech Flame V3 are actually just not useful in this upcoming fight. So instead I'm going to put in 2 cards that will be useful, and then I guess I don't have to save yet because it's going to force me to save.
Yep. I started doing this, I guess in being 6, before you fight the final boss, you have to save again.
They forgot to do it in Star Force 1, though.
Ah. Cool.
All right, and here is the final boss.
Crimson Dragon. It's pretty cool.
So basically, he has this head in my way right now, so I have to attack his core to actually do damage to him, which means I'm going to buster him down for a bit. Now I'm going to do damage to his core. Now I'm over 200%, so I'm going to show you the Meteor server. It'll give me access to a bunch of random cards like these. And
Aren't those like the galaxy advances? Or... No.
it's not always. It's usually based on, for example, mine is heavily based on Dread Joker. So this finalized form has max buster stats. It also has the ability to do double damage with every single card that you lock on with.
That's crazy.
It's quite ridiculous how much damage you can output. So I
That
lock
buster
on
is so
300
fast.
damage, do that, and that's the final boss.
Atom Blazer.
It's not quite the end of the run yet. There's one other fight that I still have to do. This fight's going to be really difficult, by the way.
Yeah.
It's probably the hardest fight in the game.
That was a good Crimson Dragon.
That was actually really good, yes. That was quite impressive. All right, so let's see here. All right, I'm gonna choose these. So he has 8,000 health now. It's the same fight. This is gonna be really difficult. Just gotta power through. All right, I'm not gonna use any of those actually. I don't really like those. Damn it, didn't get the counter hit.
Almost.
All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, so this isn't gonna do any damage. This is really weird.
0 attack power. Nice dodge.
All right, so time is coming up right at the end of this animation.
Now he's just showing off.
Just did 6,500 damage. What the heck?
That's pretty good.
And with that, time. So that is Star Force 3.
Nice. So that's, what do they call that?
So that is a, there's a term.
I can't remember it.
Yeah, I can't remember it either. It's essentially like a,
Like the signature attack or something.
yeah, so that's like a very specific attack for
Oh, no,
Red
Force
Joker.
Big Bang.
Yes, there we go. And so basically, the way that that last fight worked is that it was completely scripted. It was a scripted fight. There's no way to actually beat him. You can get him down to 1 HP. He cannot beat you. You can get you down to 1 HP, but never delete you. The only way that that fight ends is if you hit a red guy eraser on his core.
Yeah. Or if they're on the other version, the different one is
It's
Black and Galaxy.
Yes. Let's see if I
think you did.
I got the glitch. God damn it. This is so awkward now. So there's a glitch in this game where the credits music just refuses to play.
Sometimes that happens.
And it's not just like, some people think it's just an emulator thing. It's not just an emulator thing. It actually happens on console as well. And it just makes like this really long sequence of credits just kind of awkward because there's nothing playing.
Which is pretty funny. Unfortunate. Well, all right, that was Star Force 3. Risch,
Yes.
good run.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you.
This was we've tried to have Star Force a few times at the Mega Man-athon events, and we've shown it off. But this has been like the best run because he actually speed runs these games, as
Yes.
opposed to the rest of us just try to play them reasonably fast.
So yeah, thank you to the Mega Man-athon for having me. I do really enjoy being able to show this game off. I think it's really just a great game. Definitely the best game in the series, in my opinion.
Agree.
And it can definitely compete, in my opinion, with some of the better Battle Network games as well.
Yeah.
So, huge shout outs to people over at Team BN. They're really great people and helped get me into speedrunning a lot of these games. So, thank you to Tara as well. So, thank you for the commentary. Do appreciate it.
Thanks for the run. It was good.
Yep. Oh, wait, what the heck?
It's fine. When someone walks on the stairs, the TV turns off.
Yeah, I forgot for a second.
What? Oh, right. I guess we're not doing VC. What? I think he knows what this is. So it's a Risch.
Yes.
I hear that you really like pancakes.
Yes. So I basically only eat pancakes every day for breakfast and dinner. That is my diet. So, yeah.
So the Mega Man-athon wanted to thank you for being here and gave you a special treat in pancakes in your favorite color.
They are, I can't really tell if they're red.
They're
Mainly
blue.
because of the lighting. Okay, that's just rude, all right? That is
It's
just
Mega Man.
super rude. Wow. Come on, they got to be written. I'm just kidding. Thank you guys so much.
So enjoy your breakfast while we get set up for the next game,
Yep.
which we got to take a look at the schedule. We're running a little behind, and we'll see what's coming up next. But thank you for everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed Star Force, and stick around. Continue donating to Child's Play charity. Go to MegaMan-athon.com. You can do !schedule for more information on what's coming up later today. Wizard Party tonight. But yeah, we'll set up and be back in a bit.
All right, good morning, everybody. As they set up, I'll give you a little bit of preview of what's coming next. So, oh, by the way, I'm Chris Krieger, otherwise known as Dr. Cossack right now. I'm going to bring up my handy gadget here to remind myself what's actually next. So they're getting ready to set up. We're running a little different than the schedule that was originally posted, but I believe what we're going to go with next is Mega Man Extreme 2 with Mega Flare and his guest, Hot Sammy Sliz. Remember that this is all for Child's Play. It's for children's charities to provide them with comforts and some games and things like that while they're in difficult situations. It really helps to distract from those things. And as you can see on the ticker on the bottom, there's all kinds of really cool prizes that you can win, including a Proto Man replica buster, which is awesome. It's the full-size one you can wear on your arm. Make some really cool blasting sounds and such. You can be Proto Man. We do those at MegaMan-athon.com, so you can find that and donate there. There's also some really, really cool prizes on there, as we all love. Lord of the Dance. You love Lord of the Dance, right?
Dance is great, great movie. Yeah.
Usually we have two mics over here. So, how do you like your blue pancakes? I'll wait until your mouth isn't full of goldfish that it looks like you're trying to clear or prepare your palate for them.
So, I have not yet tried the pancakes. I wanted to wait until I was off stage, so yeah, now I'm going to try them. Let's see how they taste. I'm still very disappointed that they are blue and not red, by the way.
I know it's a special surprise that they wanted to provide you with today, including, did you get some of the special honey there on top?
I was wondering what that was. Is that honey?
I believe it is honey.
I'm not really a huge fan of honey.
No?
No.
Did you?
I usually leave my pancakes toppingless.
Toppingless pancakes, he says. Not even butter.
Not even butter.
Not even butter, just some dry pancakes. I guess that makes it a little less messy for the eating.
For sure.
No sticky fingers for the controllers. There we go.
Oh, hey, I have a mic. Hello. There we go.
So I saw that you are pretty much one of the top speedrunners for Star Force in general for all three games. What drew you to that series of games?
So I was always just a huge fan of the Battle Network and Star Force games. When the Battle Network series ended and the DS came out, I bought each of the Star Force games as they came out and really enjoyed them because that was during the younger years of my life. So it's like a huge nostalgia trip for me playing those games. And then speedrunning them, actually about almost a year, maybe 2 years or something. I was casually playing through them for like the 10th time, and I accidentally skipped a cutscene. And I always played the games for the story, so I decided I was going to see how fast I could play the game. And then I looked at a leaderboard, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and beat those times. And turns out I could. So that's how it worked.
That's awesome. So how much are you involved with like other speedrunners that run the game as well? Do you guys share a lot of techniques and strategies for it, or have you kind of explored your own path through the game?
So for the first game in the series, there isn't really a set-in-stone like route through it. And I didn't really look at any other game or gameplay for it. I just kind of did what I wanted, and turns out that that was a really good way to play it. For the second and third games, though, I decided to look at some of the videos of some of the other top runners and took a lot of their strategies. And then after I had finished with Star Force 2, I actually joined the Team Battle Network Discord, where they share a lot of strats. There's not a whole lot of Star Force runners, obviously. It's less popular than Battle Network, but I do tend to try and encourage people who come in and enjoy Star Force to try and speedrun the game every now and then. So, you know, there's one particular member of the Team Battle Network community, Prof9, who does a lot of research into the game. He does a lot of data mining, figuring out exactly how the game is coded, and that way I can, you know, base some of my routes off of actual, like, game knowledge rather than just a feeling for the game.
That makes sense. That's awesome. So how are you enjoying MAGFest so far?
MAGFest has been great. This is my first, like, kind of event that I really go to. Usually I kind of just, like, watch things, like, never been to a GDQ, never been to, like, PAX. So this is the first kind of event I'm going to. It's been a lot of fun. First day I got here, I just came right over here, checked out what was happening, and then Tara told me that I should probably check out the arcade and indie games corner, and so I went, checked that out, saw a couple of the Battle Network inspired indie games, like One Step from Eden and Ether After. Tried out a couple of those. Actually, as I mentioned earlier on the stream, I earned a One Step from Eden shirt for beating the second boss of the demo they have here. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Checked out some of the arcade games, checked out the marketplace, saw a lot of cool artwork and different things you could buy. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Awesome. Is there anything you're still looking forward to seeing or doing here?
So, unfortunately, my birthday is coming up on Monday. And my dad's not going to be in town, so I want to go be home on the 6th to hang out with him. So actually later today, I'll be taking the train home back to Connecticut.
That's all right. That's not unfortunately. That's an awesome thing to go do. So,
Yeah, looking forward to it. But I definitely have greatly enjoyed my MAGFest experience so far. So it's been a lot of fun. And being a part of not only the Mega Man-athon for an actual speedrun, but also for commentary for Tara's Battle Network 2 run yesterday has been awesome experience. So
that's awesome. Do you have any bigger future plans for any new speedruns or any new techniques?
So my original goal was to get a world record in each of the Star Force games, which I did. And then it was to get all of the world records, well, not all of them, a world record in each of the Battle Network games. And I have one of them so far. So I might continue with that. I also have been looking at other games to speedrun. One of them was Hollow Knight. I actually really thought would be a cool speedrun because I was casually playing through it when I started speedrunning. So games like Hollow Knight, other Metroidvanias like, is Ori and the Blind Forest considered a Metroidvania? I believe it's kind of similar in a way. But games like that, I'm kind of interested in speedrunning. I also got Mega Man-11 right when it came out, and I kind of want to try speedrunning that as well. It's a different kind of Mega Man game, but it's also a lot of fun. So,
absolutely. Did you get a chance to see any of the speedrun we did here?
I have seen a fair number of them. So before the Battle Network 2 run, I was supposed to be getting some sleep, but I couldn't fall asleep. So I ended up watching the X Run, The Wrong Route by Slappy. That was really funny and kept me quite entertained while I was pretending to try and fall asleep. And then the run right after that, I saw a bit of the Mega Man 2 run with the composer for Mega Man 2. That was actually a really cool experience.
Really cool.
That was a really good run.
All right. If you had to choose between being Lord of the Dance on DVD or Lord of the Dance on VHS or even Laserdisc, which one would you choose?
I feel like I might choose the VHS. I mean, doesn't that come in like the original wrapping?
Oh yeah, it's got him kind of like flexed out.
That pose is incredible.
Got his flamboyant shirt on.
Yeah, that's a wonderful. I think that would be the one I would definitely want. So should make sure to donate.
Okay.
So yeah, make sure to donate and be eligible to win that. It's a good idea.
Absolutely. You have a very good chance of getting yourself a copy of Lord of the Dance, as well as some other really cool prizes. Did you see the, are you a fan of Gunvolt at all?
I have not yet tried that game. I saw a little bit of gameplay during. It was played earlier, like.
Yeah,
in
Matt
the-
Papa, the localization director, was
Yeah.
playing it.
I was watching that a little bit. It definitely looks pretty interesting. I might want to try it out. I think